Hello and welcome back to the Pop Tab Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brent, the upholder of the unpopular opinion, and joining me today, as always, the ghost host, Jacob Stokes.
Boop.
And the Gundam Guardian. I forgot that part because I realized I thought no audio was coming through, but I was looking at desktop audio and OBS, not the mics, but I usually have all those hidden, but I just had to remake it today, so I didn't get it all caught up and blah, 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 blah. We're going to start the show, as we always do, with a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to talk about things we watched, things we played, and this is the Pop Tab Podcast, filmed in front of a live Twitch audience over on twitch.tv/RealPixel. If you want to watch it later, you can check it out on YouTube or Patreon and all that good stuff. So getting into things we've watched, things we played, I guess first schedule for this week. Friday, I should be playing Expedition 33. It comes out on Thursday. Friday, I'm going to be playing it. Saturday, no stream, because technically Friday is Bethany's birthday. But she works, so I'm going to stream Friday because she works, and then Saturday we're doing stuff. And then
what
Sunday,
are you doing?
Well, I gave her some options, and she's deciding because we were.
What were your options?
Well, recently we were playing, so we played. I'll talk about more, but we finished Split Fiction, and then we went and 100% at Split Fiction. We did all the achievements, and I was like, man, I really like finishing these games. I really like them. How many achievements do we have left in It Takes Two? We went back. One of the things we missed was a mini game that was ice skating, and she's like, oh, I want to go ice skating. And I was like, we live in a perfect city to go ice skating. There's literally,
But it's like, it's also just a strange time because there was so many outdoor ice skating things you could have done. It's 60 degrees today, and you're like, let's go ice skating.
But
it's like such a funny thing.
I go to an ice rink every morning for the gym. We can just go ice skating. So Saturday I was like, hey, 1 to 2:30, there's ice skating. She's like, I don't know, I'm scared. I'm like, what do you? She's like, because of pickleball, when she hurt her back really bad.
Oh yeah,
she's afraid of.
That's a reason to be a
yes,
because that was crippling for her.
So I'm like, okay, that's fair. But I know you said you wanted to do it, so here's the option. And she's like, yeah, let me think on it. And I was like, okay, but there's also movies we want to see. So we could just do a movie. We could do like double movies because we got the AMC. We could just go 2 in a day if you want, or we could do one.
That sounds
at the
like
theater.
a birthday for you.
Well, I'm giving her. I'm like, I don't know what she wants to do because usually it's I just want to play games, and I'm like, cool, we could sit and play games, but we do that all the time. And the other thing was we were thinking about going over because we like in Leelanau, the Cove, we like those palm frites over there, but they're not open for the season yet. So I'm like, well, we can't go over there. They're not open. So we're doing stuff Saturday. I just don't know what we're doing yet. And then Sunday, I'll probably keep going on Expedition 33 because I won't finish it Friday just because it's too long, but I'm going to play a lot of it. So that's streams. Now we get into what we watch. See, I'm out of practice. We took a week off, maybe even two. I can't remember. 2 weeks off in a row.
Yeah. I think you were sick 2 weeks ago. You were back in, but your voice was funky.
Blah, 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 blah.
And then the next week was guest stuff.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and it's funny because it's been 2 weeks. We would think I'd have a long list of things that I watched. No, because we did do a podcast after I was sick because I went through all the movies I watched when I was sick. Did we do like one off, one on, one off, one on? Is that what happened? That might be it.
That might be why.
Okay, I was like, why don't I have more things to watch?
I'm sure if I find my letterbox, I can be like, I did talk about that movie.
Yeah, because I looked at I was like, oh yeah, I did talk about these.
Yeah, I talked about Princess Mononoke.
Yep.
Well, and that was the 8th though, so that was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, okay.
So the let's see, things I've watched. One, I finished season 2 of Solo Leveling. If you like the first season, you're gonna love the second season. It's more. I don't want to be like it's more of the same because it's usually like a bad thing, but it's sick fights. The main guy's super strong. He kicks ass. It's a good fun watch.
Easy peasy.
That's all you need from that show, really. And then we both watched the first 2 episodes of The Last of Us season 2. We're going to talk about that later because we're going to get into spoilers. So we're going to do it at the end of the show so we can get into spoilers.
The first one was last week. I was like, what do you mean?
We didn't watch.
We just watched the second one.
So we can talk 2 episodes at the end of the show. So it's mostly probably going to be about the second episode.
Yeah.
So those are the things I watched. I caught up. I watched every wrestling WWE Raw leading up to WrestleMania. So this last weekend I watched Saturday and Sunday's show all the way through. I feel like I watched something else. I mean, I've watched some One Piece. Like I've watched my shows that are continuously going. Yep. I've actually watched more YouTube and stuff recently of card games. Watching a lot of One Piece card play.
Oh, sure.
Watching play. Watching play or watching. I saw a tease today about a card that's might be coming in the future, or that it got released in Japan that's not over here yet, that might shake up the meta because it's like its ability like almost counters like the top 3 decks abilities right now. Where it's like, hey, if you do this, you get this card off the top of your deck, yada yada. This is a card. If a card comes into play off another character's leader's ability, you just take like a life card. Like it literally shuts down a lot of decks. So there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Catching up on Red Zone Rogue stuff, watching those that we talked about. I watched my top video, or here all the ranking of the card games, and the first thing was Pokemon at Sea, and I went, God dang it, Kel, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? So I've been watching a lot of YouTube and Twitch and things like that, less than movies and of the like. Because every time I think about a movie, I'm like, I think we should watch a movie. What should we watch? I look, I'm waiting for the flight plan to be just a little bit cheaper. The Mark Wahlberg. Not Flight Plan.
Flight Risk.
Flight Risk.
I was like,
every time I
you
do
said
that,
and I was like, I was just thinking, I was
every
like,
time. Flight Risk.
Why can't I think of her name? Jodie
Foster.
I was like, the Jodie Foster movie? I was like,
I do it
really?
every Flight Risk. I type it in too.
I never know where that's going. Every time it feels like a surprise because you go Flight Plan. Like,
because
you lead into it so much.
I'm going to get it right and I get it wrong.
What?
Flight Risk.
Yes.
I really want to watch it, but it's still like $20. And I'm like, I don't really want to pay $20 when I could have gone to the theater for my quote unquote free.
Yeah.
Now I'm like,
for the cost of a soda, really.
Yeah, give me
or
$10 or whatever, and then I'll feel a little bit better about it, but we'll see.
It'll be there shortly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wolfman is officially now streaming, so I got to be catching that here soon.
I actually...
we were going to. Shay just wasn't feeling that movie in particular, so we did something way off the
I almost threw it up for when Alec and Em were up here. I was like, hey, do you want to do this? And
I keep warning her too. I'm like, apparently this is a bad movie. So like, I want you to go into it knowing that it's probably not great, but like...
That's what the thing was. I was like, how do I pitch and everyone go, hey, should we watch this horror movie? Apparently it's bad.
Yeah.
And I go, I don't know if that's the vibe.
That's for me to do.
Yeah.
You know?
And then while my brother was up here, we played a ton of Mario Party Jamboree, my first time getting hands-on with Jamboree. So it was a lot of fun. I've watched a ton of play of it. It's just really good.
Nice.
We played a lot of the motion mini games, which sometimes a lot of people turn them off, so you just play the ones that aren't motion controlled. I found the motion to be fine. I'd rather just not have it, but I didn't think it was a bad
I just feel like it never registers right enough. You know? Maybe it's because it's inputting so many weird, like you're pushing 30 buttons essentially when you're doing all the motion input for each controller, for each person.
For each person.
It doesn't feel
but
like
then
it's
also
up
you're
to
like
speed.
tilting this way and then you go, oh no, and then you auto correct, but you've corrected so much. It's like, are you flipping all the way around? Am I like it's registering like half, like it's a big. I get why it doesn't work as perfect as I want it to work.
Yeah,
but
there's a couple. I haven't played Jamboree. I played the one before that had motion controls for the Switch. That I don't remember what it was. It's like a racing one or something. And I'm like, I actually don't know how to move. Like in the practice, this was working, and now it's not working. And I'm like, I feel like I'm doing so close to the same thing that
there was
it's
one,
just watching them like fucking stutter or whatever.
There was
doing
one
stuff.
where
It's
you had to
terrible.
like flip up and down, and then another one where you had to like rotate it. Because it was like a triathlon.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it was
There
like a run.
I think the one that I was doing was a boat one though.
Oh, it was a swim and then a bike. And I was like, those motions are so similar. I don't know how to make one go faster than the other. It was interesting.
Yeah, that's just the thing. It just doesn't feel true.
But love Mario Party. Still a good game. We played 3 out of the 4 maps that it starts with, unlocked the 5th one, and then there's a 6th one I believe you unlock as well. So a lot more to play in it. But I was like, it's perfect because I can upgrade it to the Switch 2 version, so it's not going to be really more expensive than it is or less expensive than it is right now. So because they did announce Switch 2 pre-orders this Thursday, the 24th, I was like trying to remember the right day. I don't know if I saw a time. But they don't usually do it at like midnight. It's usually like at a
9 a.m.
9,
PT.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
So, but I'll be on the computer, counting down the minutes, refreshing, go. We'll see what happens.
Might be midnight. Oh, there it is. 11 a.m. ET.
11 a.m.
is what I think GameStop online starts at 11 a.m. ET.
Okay.
So that's the only one I can see confirmed. I don't know about Best Buy. Let me see. I'm going to link to the Best Buy's.
Yeah, I'm sure Best Buy.
The Best Buy's website.
Right?
Does it have a time, a date? Nope. So you got to check midnight. You got to check 8 a.m. It used to be 8 a.m. if you remember that, because they would measure a new day at 5 and they would do 5 Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
So God, it takes me back to ordering the PS5 and having the stress of that.
Yep. It's so annoying.
The good news is I don't give a fuck about this one.
I know. It's so annoying to like be like, I want this. That's all squared away. The money's there. I just have to figure out if the computer will let me get it, essentially.
Yeah, because be as ready as possible.
Yeah.
We got to get you
so
training. Got to
stressful.
get you speed buying some shit real quick. Then get it in, return it, and then speed buy some more.
Yeah. And I've had bad luck with purchasing stuff recently with some cards that have just
Seriously.
gone missing.
I looked at my 8 today, and I just looked at them and counted again, and I was like, God, please.
I messaged about it.
Fuck his Pokemon cards, dude. I just don't care.
I messaged them. They responded. They said, "Hey, it looks like the USPS person just didn't scan the tracking, but they are confirmed to be shipped out." And I was like, "Okay, well, when I usually order them this date, they're technically yesterday, like a whole weekend, the Monday. Do you have an estimate time?" And they're like, "Well, if it's over 9 business days, then it's late. Contact us again." I go, "Okay, so you don't know. No one knows." Cool.
Yeah, if they've determined that that's the amount of time though, and that amount of time comes and passes, it makes sense.
The next
What day was that we ordered? Thursday?
It was the 15th, which
Tuesday. So it was a week ago today.
Yep.
So it's been 1, 2, 3, 5 business days. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so next Tuesday. Next Tuesday will be in the 10th business day. You can ask.
Okay. But my next order that I ordered is supposed to be here Friday.
Perfect.
So I'm like, maybe somehow the USPS, they come together and they show up Friday.
I love your hope.
Well, I'm trying to be hopeful for you.
Love your hope.
For you. All my cards can be repurchased. I don't think there's anything really. Actually, there's a couple special things. I got the Skirmish Rhino Japanese Halo foil.
Japanese?
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it Halo? No. Yeah. It's
Could
Halo.
be. Ghostfire or Halo.
I think it's a Halo one.
How much was it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I really don't. But it was
fair.
on my list that I needed. It
Nice.
became available, so I was like, let me get it. So we'll see. We watched and played.
I
was like,
what are we
were
doing?
Where
What are we talking about?
What was going on? On stream, played Donkey Kong 64 with Alec. That's fun. The VOD is up today. So if you want to check that out, it's like 7 hours and 40 minutes of us struggling to play an old N64 game. Where it was like one of those things where it's like we remembered things. So we're like, oh, to do this, we need this. And we'll get the thing and be like, no, that wasn't it. Oh, it's something like this, though. And then we get the other power that lets us walk up steep cliffs. And we go, oh, yeah, that was it. It's like a lot of that. It's like we remember, but also don't remember. So it's almost fighting ourselves to figure out puzzles.
Never played it. Were you using the OG controller?
Yep. I
me.
got one. It's see-through green.
Goofy ass.
Plugs right
Oh, nice.
into the PC, which ended up being a problem because down right on that, just the joystick just dies. It just doesn't. If I try to go down to the right, it doesn't work. I don't know if it's like a weird setting I have, because everything else about the controller works perfect, works great. Just down on the right, it just doesn't work. And for the boss that I got very upset with and struggled with a long time, it's essentially a bunch of squares you have to jump to, and you get chased. And sometimes you got to go down that way, and then you see me running. I'll jump in midair, and I'll just stop in midair and fall. And I go, God damn it, dude. There's like 5 phases to this boss. At the end, they're invisible and literally like chasing you down and shooting lasers and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I was so stressed. I was so annoyed.
You're making me feel stressed about it.
But anyway.
I want to solve your controller problem for you, but I don't know how.
I know. Well, Alex said, he's like, oh, you should have told me. I have the dongle that just puts the N64 controller into a USB, and we have like 6 N64 controllers I could have tried. I went, I told you we were playing, and he's like, I just didn't think about it. I go, well, okay, that's fair, but dang.
No, if you say we're playing, I would think I'm going there and we're playing.
Yeah.
Not if it's like, hey, come play the Switch at my place. Be like, I have to bring my Switch. Like
Yeah,
that,
that's
it
fair.
Sounds like everything's ready for me.
To be fair, I also I tested it all out. Everything seemed to work. It's just like, I don't know if it's by the end of the day it really started to give way, or I just really noticed it during the boss fight. But because I ran around in Banjo-Kazooie. I played Pokemon Stadium that doesn't really use the joystick, but I tested a bunch of different games to make sure like all the buttons were actually synced correctly, but just was not helping me. But anyway, what have you been playing?
Well, we did watch WrestleMania.
Yep.
We didn't watch together, but we did watch it.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I watched was Sinners, which I told you to watch because of I didn't know that video was coming out, but everything to do with the way they managed the frame and in IMAX, it feels meant for IMAX like a lot of movies don't. Where it's like, oh, it was filmed for IMAX, but they don't use it. They don't mess with aspect ratio as like a piece of the filmmaking, but this movie really does. And I also saw it was the first. I can't believe this fact. Just like the cinema score A that you told me, which for those it's the first horror movie in X number of years to get a cinema score of A. Yeah, which I don't fully know what a cinema score entails.
I almost don't believe it.
For that reason, I have to dive into it more because I just clicked cinema score just to find it real quick, and the website looked old as hell. So I like clicked into it just a little deeper, and it gave this weird chart and guide that looked like it was from the 30s. Whoa! And like it was one of those like type press inks where like it looks like it's blotchy on some spots because it was like literally like pressed on. It looked like that. That was the graphic they showed, and it had so many like. How do I say? It was interesting. It was like when they do those graphs where they're showing you percentages, almost like a pie chart, but they do it with square. They do it with area, and they had a whole chart of that. Oh my god, I keep hitting the mic. Where all the squares were different things that I was like, almost like I could have seen one that said popcorn sales. Like it looked like it just what is this information? So weird. But I don't know. It might be. I think I saw something about gender, and I saw something about race, so it could have something to do closer to like a Bechdel test, where like it has to qualify all these things and then do sales and then have a cumulative score of something and then make certain money. Like I don't know, but so I'm like, okay, if we're putting all those asterisks on, it's just like every day in sports a new record's being broken.
That title, as John Cena says now, that just sounds like a clickbait title. That's a clickbait title. That's a clickbait title, dude.
So it's Triple H saying it too. I'll answer it though. I'll answer it. So that's really cool, but I don't want to overhype the movie because I feel like even though I watched it and I really loved it, I think the internet is really overhyping this movie.
That's fair.
Unfortunately so. But I'm also saying, there's the person that I follow that I'm always so curious about her reviews because sometimes they're spot on to what I think. Sometimes her review, and like it's The Big Lebowski, she does 4.5 stars and then puts Irving ? And I'm like, because she watched Severance first and John Turturro's in it, and oh my god,
that's like that could be so many different because John Turturro's in so many things,
and in so many he's recently in this, and he's in it for longer than anything else he's been in because it's a 2-season TV show. He's in every episode,
I guess,
I guess. But anyway, she posted a 1-star review for Minecraft, and she said she was high during it and she couldn't watch it sober. And Shay said something about like some people just have no taste, is what she said when I told her. And I was like, I love you.
Giving a 1-star to Minecraft.
But she was like, she seems like the snooty chef that doesn't want to eat the grilled cheese no matter how tasty it is. And I'm like, that's true. Like this movie doesn't do anything special. It's just take a grilled cheese. It's just a really good grilled cheese. They didn't add a bunch of Havarti or any, smoked Gouda.
Really, you don't need it with the grilled cheese. It's so good.
It just tastes good.
It's just good.
It was like, man, this is good.
Yep.
And the sandwich cheese analogy. You like that one. But she was talking about, I watched her review because she put one day of watching the movie and was super excited.
Like a video review?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She always does video reviews. That's how I know her. That's why I follow her on Letterboxd.
Well, I was just making sure because her last review was Irving. So I thought there was more to it.
Sometimes I see those reviews come up, and at the end of the month, when it's not a horror movie, she'll do a monthly recap of everything she watched, and I'll watch that. And that's where she goes a little bit more in depth. But all the same, she put up the Sinners review. She had put up 4.5 stars, loved it, whatever. And by the end of it, she told me she hadn't seen the trailer.
Oh.
She'd like seen pieces of the first trailer and thought it was pretty cool, but didn't know what it was about and went in completely blind. And I guess, I don't know. Can I spoil the trailer? Yeah, I'm not going to teach you anything new, I promise.
I mean, I would say yes because it's in the trailer, but it's like... Well, we were sad about the second trailer.
Who's the one person in here that... I'm going to talk about Sinners trailer. The second trailer that comes out, we learned 2 major things. And I actually commented on her video to be like... She said, what was in the second trailer? Did they spoil that it was a vampire movie? And I put in there, not only did they spoil the actual genre of the movie, but they spoiled the turning of 2 main characters... of one of the main characters and his love interest. So she knew who it was, but it was one of Michael B. Jordan's, one of the 2 of them, and Haley Steinfeld. I was like, that was
which is in the trailer.
A fucking insane spoiler.
Yeah.
Having not watched the movie, that's like last 15% of the movie. and it's very, emotional at that point and stuff. And I was like, I've known this was coming the whole fucking movie, So it's just it's unfortunate for that sake.
The what I keep seeing is a lot of people, and I like people that like the movie are getting mad that other people keep saying it, but so many people are like, this is just from dusk till dawn. I'm getting that comparison a lot.
Interesting.
And I don't know because I haven't seen it, but somebody was like, oh, I really like this movie, went through all of it. And then he was on a podcast and someone was like, did you get the From Dusk Till Dawn vibes? And he's like, I'm so sick and tired of people saying that. It's just like, yeah, there's like, I could see your lines, but how can you just say it's just From Dusk Till Dawn?
Well, what I was going to say is, God, what is the one? There's Harry Potter equals. And it was Magic Boy has this, does this, fights that as this. He's the chosen one, 6th movie, or Willy Wonka is the prequel to Snowpiercer, where they tie the 15 lines. That one's looser, but I can see where it's like, oh, these are the same movie, the same way a lot of superhero movies are the same or whatever. It's like, okay, I can see the flavor. There's some, they're both in the deep south and the jute joint here versus the bar there. Vampires, to be very broad, But I'll say maybe there's standoff moments, like a standoff kind of thing. But otherwise, I wouldn't compare it. The weirdest thing about this movie, the best thing I've heard to describe it is that it has novel pacing.
Oh, okay.
Which I was like, that's actually really true, where you get into a book and sometimes what is coming for the book or the crux of it or the genre, the page you're reading, the inside cover, the back of it, that thing doesn't happen till like 3/4 of the way through.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, oh, this was a lot of setup. Mm-hmm. This movie was a lot of setup. And it was funny how I was like, the pacing's not bad and it's not wrong. I'm not bored, but it's different, is what I told Shay when I came out of it. Watching a bunch of reviews, I was like, oh, it does have novel pacing. Like it feels like I'm watching a book. You were about to say something?
I was just in my head, I was thinking of I feel like the big thing novel pacing where you're like, oh, which what's coming doesn't happen till like 3/4 of the way through. It's like, think of almost like every Harry Potter book. It's like the title is really the ending. It's just like, oh, are they in the Chamber of Secrets? At the end. Is Prisoner of Azkaban important? At the end.
Yeah. When do we see the Sorcerer's Stone? The Philosopher's Stone?
At the end. It's just like every book title's like, this is the end of the book. We just have to get there.
Yeah. This one was very generally called Sinners. I wouldn't say it plays into it as much as I would have expected the title to. Watching the intro or the beginning of the movie, you might think, oh, this is very heavy. Like they're 1-to-1. They kind of abandon that feeling later. It's more of like a very vague term. It's a good name. It's a good name for the movie, but
I feel like when I hear vampires, I hear sinners, I immediately think Midnight Mass. Because it's very religious tied.
Yeah. This one, because that's very religious tied. That's like very. This one, not quite so much. But the whole idea, you see the dancing and you see the stuff is like, oh, this whole nighttime thing, this is a house of sin. Is like the idea. They don't ever call it that, but one of the characters, his dad is a preacher, and he's like, don't go there because that's sinning. Essentially, it's like it ties in, but softly. But that trailer really fucked me up for it, and to think I still liked it because if I had seen nothing and didn't know what the movie was about, especially looking at the poster, looking at like everything that seems to be properly managed by the studio, was pretty vague until that second trailer. I mean, we watched that first trailer and we're like, we don't really know what's going on.
No.
But I want to watch it because when have these two led me astray? Yeah. But unfortunately, that second trailer really fucked it. Yeah. I was so sad to see it because also, I'll say you get to the end of the movie, like the main thing happens, and we're post that. They do a thing where the beginning of the movie is actually the end of the movie, so you see the beginning of the movie again in a way. And then there's something after that, and it's unfortunate because I knew that thing after that was coming because of the trailer again. Dang. I was like, when do we get the scene with this? They've talked about it, and we're at a point now where it has to be after a certain point. Like, I know we can't do it right now. So then I'm thinking, I was like, how do we see it? Like, where? And I had to like formulate in my mind, oh, this is the only thing that could happen. Turns out it happened. And it was kind of like I don't want to say it was good or bad, but it was kind of like a cherry on top in terms of like, here's a little something extra at the end of the movie. And I was like, fuck you. I know the extra thing. Like, and it's just the trailer's fault is the problem. So
usually is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But considering all of that, the movie is not just worth a watch. It's worth seeing in IMAX, especially because you have the free ticket, you have whatever. It's like you need to carve out the time.
Okay.
And especially before the hype gets even higher and people start going, this one's going to get an Oscar. Stop.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Stop. Shh.
Stop.
Shh.
It's also like, the people who come into a horror movie because they hear something like this and they're like, it's the best thing I've ever seen. It's the most unique thing I've ever seen. I'm like, there's some very there's moments that you're going to be like, I've never seen anything like that, and I don't think I ever will. This movie has one scene of that where I'm like, if only I were on drugs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was like, this, and it starts weird, and then by the end I'm smiling. I'm like, what a fucking bold ass swing. That was a crazy thing to show me.
Cool.
I can't wait for you to see that. But the people who are like, oh, horror movies are back, or horror, I hear that too much.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I watch too many horror movies that I see all of them and people will pick and select. But this, unfortunately, I think is going to go, not unfortunately for you.
Oh, okay.
Not for anyone else, really. Good for them. Is it going to go the way of Get Out?
Oh.
Where it's like, that was a perfectly fine horror movie. And in fact, I actually really like it. I know you don't. But it's like people gassing it up as like this fucking holy grail of a thing. And I'm like, guys, I don't know. I've seen a lot of stuff. Like this isn't quite, if I were picking gems out of the dirt, I might have picked this one up, but it's like, it's top. I don't know.
I would have picked it up and been like, remember the opening of this movie? The open of that movie is so good. Then the rest of the movie happens and it's like, whatever for me. But
the opening doesn't stand out too much for me. I mean, it's good in the movie. I just think it's like,
run, rabbit, run.
well, for me, it's just like, it's the cold open of every horror movie, but it's usually the person walking down a really bad part of town. And this is just a guy walking down the most like serene part of town.
Not me.
Exactly.
Not today.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my, it's like such a twist on the usual opening that I'm like, this is really good for what this movie's going to be about.
Well, and for his first foray into horror, coming from a sketch comedian, whatever. We could talk about Get Out for a long time, but all the same, this is one of those things where I'm like, oh, it's cool to see him do horror. Like, turns out he's always loved it. He said his dad's 2 favorite movies ever in an interview. He said this.
Okay.
One was Rocky. So he thought it was really great that he got to do Creed.
That's awesome.
Second favorite movie, Halloween.
Oh,
John Carpenter's Halloween, of course. But he's just like, so horror movies were like in my lexicon. I watched them all the time. He's like, so this was my first time doing it. But he didn't want people to know it was too horror before.
Right.
So
do you think because vampires, Halloween, because he did Rocky, Creed.
Does he do Halloween?
Does he do Halloween? Does he think he do as a slasher? Maybe his own take on it, but like his own slasher.
I don't know.
It'd be cool for him to do Halloween, but I don't want to pigeonhole him,
Is there a world where in the Creed interviews he ever talked about that he liked horror movies? Like maybe, but I don't buy into the hype of someone saying, man, I've always wanted to do this. I'm like, they say that for every movie they've ever done.
That's true.
And in the case of Creed, it sounds like he meant it.
Yeah.
But, it's like.
Because he did 2. He did both of them, right? 1 and 2?
And he produced the third one. He was, which apparently he was actually on set a lot because it was MBJ's directorial debut. So he was there like helping a lot.
I wonder what's Michael B. Jordan's next directorial movie? What do you think
Maybe
he does?
hated it.
Maybe he hated it? I know he's also referenced something about 4 for Creed 4, and I was like, I don't know if we need to do another. I mean, we could. I'm going to go, obviously. But if
what am I going to do? Not watch?
If I go, can Michael B. Jordan gets to do another Creed movie or gets to do something else he's passionate about? I'd like to see the other thing he's passionate about. I think
Direct an anime.
That's the big thing. Is I would love to see him direct an anime.
I don't know.
That'd be really cool.
So I think all I'm saying is you should catch this movie before it feels that way.
Gotcha.
Because I really think it's going to. I'm seeing a lot of people, and it has that feeling of just like, it's the like Oscar bait.
Yeah.
This is like Oscar bait, but for your daily movie fan. I don't want to say cinephile. I don't want to say whatever.
Yeah.
But it was just like, are you liking this because it's like black lead and created and whatever? Just like Get Out. Like I'm afraid it deserves everything it has. I'm just like, I don't ever hear you talk good about anything else.
I see.
And this is the one you're like, oh, it's the best ever. I'm like, okay. Sure. But this one also, just another fun fact about it. This is what I was saying. I can't believe it took this long. The first female director of photography to use an IMAX camera.
Oh, wow.
Never before has an IMAX camera been used by a woman.
That's crazy.
what the fuck took so long? I was like, this isn't new tech.
Also,
like it's at least 20 years
the
old.
director of photography running the camera?
Running the camera, you know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah.
I just mean to say DP. Actually, she actually did run the camera, but
Oh, I'm sure there's shots where they do, but in my
Yes.
head it would be like the camera op does the majority of it. Especially with IMAX cameras, you would think there would be like two guys in the
dedicated
industry
people.
that are like, we are the IMAX camera guys.
yeah. Oh,
just
10,
in case there's two.
10. Yeah, so it's just like
Well, isn't there
they're
only
not
like
making that many.
4 IMAX cameras in the world?
I'm sure there's more now.
More now?
I'm
Okay.
sure.
For a while, I
Well,
thought-
so the other asterisk on this was this isn't just an IMAX camera; it's an IMAX camera that uses the particular 65 millimeter film, that something, whatever. So
Oh, okay.
it was like a very narrow window. But she's not the first to use that camera. The first to use an IMAX camera,
Yeah.
which, from the sounds of it, and it seemed as vague as like to use. So
Wow.
director of photography towards one, of course, but maybe even op one.
Cool.
So I was like, whoa, what the hell? Like, that is actually one of those records that I'm like, that doesn't feel like fluff.
No.
That's like a surprise. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I didn't know it would take it so long. Anyway,
Anyway,
WrestleMania was dope.
WrestleMania was dope.
Sanders got my heart. WrestleMania, it got my heart.
Got my heart. Before
Which
we
I'm
get
seeing Saturday did not.
Saturday, I didn't find Saturday. When you said there was Saturday and Sunday, when I did it, I didn't see Saturday.
I put it in.
So I wonder if they removed it.
They must have removed it because I put it in, and now I only see Sunday.
Before we get too far away from Get Out and stuff, did you see the trailer for Him?
Yeah, was that the Ari Aster?
No, this is the one that's produced by Jordan Peele. That's got oh my God, what's his name? One of the Wayans brothers,
Marlon Wayans?
Marlon Wayans, I believe, and that's a football horror kind of movie. It's like, yeah, that's the poster that they teased a while
4
ago.
days ago. Okay, no.
But they had a trailer. We can watch it afterwards, but it looks trippy.
Trippy, huh?
Yeah. In a way, when someone goes, hey, it's a horror football movie, I go, oh, okay.
Oh, you know what? Only because I see this end screen from that. I was in the movie theater, and when we got seated, this trailer was playing. So I saw just the tail end and then him pop up.
Okay.
But that was it. And I was like, oh, that I don't know what that was.
All right, we should.
And then we saw the next
watch
show,
because I'd be
I caught a
interested in
piece
your
of it.
opinion because it's again when I heard Jordan Peele producing Him football, I was like, okay, this is going to be. I think I know where this is going. And I watched the trailer and I go, oh, I didn't know where this was going. I'm interested.
Cool.
That's all. But
I'll
it was just
watch
it was
it.
tied together.
I'll save the tab.
All right, so then WrestleMania was dope.
I don't know how much we want to talk about WrestleMania.
I know.
I don't know if anyone cares.
Probably not.
It was, and I told you everything I think I wanted to. That
Yeah.
my family just loved it. Like they were just so they don't know anything about anything. They weren't cheering. They weren't except for when Josh, right, is his name?
Joe Henry.
Joe
Henry?
when Joe got fucking stunned.
Yeah,
or
RKO'd.
RKO'd really. But when he got
does the face
RKO'd,
around,
yeah,
turn around.
my mom's like was screaming. She didn't stand up because she actually had a dog on her lap, but it scared the shit out of the dog when she's like, "Yeah, sit down, bitch." I was like, "That's what I'm talking about, Mom."
It's so great. Oh man,
but,
it's so
yeah.
sad because it's like now that I'm so into it, I'm like I wish I could watch SmackDown and AEW and like I want to watch all of them. NXT, like I just want to watch all of these things, but they're so hard to
start
watch.
with locking this one down better, and then. But yes, I feel you. I did had the thought. I was like, oh, traveling for a SmackDown would be great. The SmackDown I went to was awesome, and it had great names and whatever. But it's 6 rows back at any visible area is like $250. I think I told you for a ticket, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's actually not out of my price range, but it's. In June, we're going to Magic Con. It's traveling to Grand Rapids. And it's a busy summer with wedding things I'm planning for others and a lot of the trips that we have
Got
going
a lot
on.
of extra stuff we're going to be working on. There's just a lot.
Yeah, so it's like I'm already going to be busy. And then also I've been feeling very homesteady recently, which maybe we'll talk about later. But
Okay.
homestead's the wrong word because it sounds like I'm going to be fucking buying goats. But
My parents bought chickens. They have chickens now.
Yep.
Fucking
Everyone's
crazy.
into fucking. I know a lot of people with chickens.
It's insane.
The person who is what would I call her? She's like a dental assistant.
Uh-huh.
The person who's like checking me in and get me set up for the dentist. She was talking about how she has 32 chickens and how she wants cows next. And I was like, I feel like you skipped goats, is what I told her. I was like, I feel like we're skipping
a
the
middle
cows.
step.
Cows to me is like industrial.
That's one. It's just space.
It's a commitment.
They're
you know?
big and they need space.
Yeah, we live in Kingsley. She has a house in Kingsley, she said, so she's got the space.
Okay.
I'm sure. That you get acreage out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
But no homesteady in the way of just like, I feel like cleaning everything, renovating everything, painting things. For the first time probably ever, I've been like, I still don't want to do the work, but I think I'm the outweighing of I want my lawn to look good and feel good and be good is finally starting to outweigh the disdain for the work itself.
Oh, wow.
I really hate mowing my lawn because it's a push and it's a big lawn to push.
Big lawn, yeah.
It's a big lawn to push. And sprinkler issues and all that stuff. And I'm like, no, I think I'm going to be raking the whole thing, aerating, seeding, watering.
Wow.
Like, I'm just like, I kind of want a better lawn. Like, I just don't want it to look like this anymore. And I started to feel that. So that's why I'm like, am I becoming someone who doesn't, on a Saturday, doesn't want to play video games, just wants to work on the lawn? What's happening to me? I know. Maybe it's because I don't have a game right now that's tying me in the same way.
Oh, maybe.
I'm deep enough in Assassin's Creed that I feel like my itch has been scratched. I'm like 20 plus hours in.
Okay.
I played RuneScape, Dragonwilds. I played that for like 10, 15 hours. And the game's in early access, but I can see what's forward. But I'm like, I've done the loop and
the wall.
Now I want to just go back and bring other people with me before I go forward. But the game's fun. I have a lot of notes. For that game. But
I'm wondering if a lot of them is like, well, because RuneScape, you know what I mean? Like if you go, well, this should be different. You go, well, because it's the RuneScape.
Let me tell you one of them.
I'll
see where it falls in.
Okay.
You get skills.
Yep.
You have wood cutting skills, mining skills. There's one just generally called building, cooking.
Was it 8? How many did you start with?
I think there's 8. One of them isn't unlocked. Funny enough, I found a book for it. It's just magic is what it's called. It's got a little wizard hat. And I found a book that like you read, like, you use the book and it goes away and it gives you XP. So I'm level 3 in a skill that you can't level up right now.
Oh, weird.
Because it's locked.
Yeah. I'm gonna see.
So I think it's 8. There's whatever the runes are called: mining, wood cutting, building, cooking.
Yeah, because
there's like 30 something in RuneScape, right?
Yeah, there's 29.
That was close.
Members, if you pay for it, you have 29. Free players have 17.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, it seems like building and cooking kind of get really close. Like if I build a structure and if I turn, what's it called? Flax, I think, into yarn, that's all building. But if I turn berries into cooked berries, like I cook something, it gives me a cooking skill, which I'm like, well, they're so close.
Yeah.
But building a house and turning wood into charcoal are the same thing in the game. So whatever. But you gain those skills, you get XP. They give you new skills, new spells you actually use, which take runes and everything. So I'm up to that, and it's working for me. I like having a consumable resource for magic. I think that's kind of cool. The thing I don't like is you get the skill, in the case of some things, when you receive the thing, when you receive the product. So you get wood cutting skills from picking up logs off the ground.
Yep.
I'm like, sure. I turn flax into yarn.
Okay.
If I turn 10 into 10, which is I think 1-to-1, if I turn 10 into 10 and I go to sleep and I wake up and they're done, I have to grab them to gain the skill. Like I go, oh, my 10 things are done. Pick them up, XP.
Okay.
But they don't finish and I have to go pick them up. As they finish, they just thunk, thunk.
Oh, they just pop
They
out?
just shoot them out. So Derek, sometimes one of the things you have to cook in this game is water. You go to a pond, you get a bunch of water. It's like dirty water or something. And you have to cook the water to make it drinkable. So we're about to go venture. He's like, cool, we only have 10 water each or whatever. Let me just get some water. So he gets that cooking. I come back, I go and I pick up all of his water and gain all those cooking skills. Because I just walked past the cooking station. So there's mornings I cook a whole bunch of stuff and he'll we both wake up at the same time, but he's closer to the station, whatever. So as he's walking out the door, it all goes to him and he gains all of my skills. So it's just weird to be like, if I set something to go and Derek walks by, he gains a shitload of cooking skills just for walking past. Like he doesn't cook anything, he just gains the skill. So I go, there's 2 things that you could do to fix that. 1, give me the XP on the finish of it cooking. So like when I wake up with 10 of them finished, I gain 10 XP for it. Or if it's tied to the product, have it store the product and then I grab the product out.
Got it.
That way Derek walking by doesn't just I don't want to say steal because it's
Right,
minimal really, but he doesn't steal my levels for something he literally didn't do.
I wonder
It's that I get to just go pick it up and claim the XP for myself. That way, maybe I do cook something for Derek to get the XP, but then he can come up and pick it up, not me walk past.
Now, in my head, very, very bottom level knowledge of how games work. The most bottom.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll give you one above bottom. You play a lot of games.
That's true. But in my
My
head,
mom's the most bottom.
that's true. But the way RuneScape works, old school RuneScape, as it were, when you say you're cooking a
As it
fish,
were.
say you're cooking a fish,
Sure.
you combine the two things,
Fish and wood.
fish with the fire, like you click it, fish in your inventory, and then you click the fire in the game, and it cooks the fish, and then a cooked fish pops up in your inventory. And when it pops up in your inventory is when you get the XP for cooking. So it's like, did you take the idea of it popping up into someone's inventory as the check for leveling and put it into this game? But because it's not click, 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 it's do stuff?
Well,
Is that where the miscommunication
because these
is?
games aren't the same. There's not
No.
one lore whatever aside
Right.
because that's like you don't program lore.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Considering that, because there is nothing, it was an intentional thing.
Okay.
You know, like it had to have been.
Well, in my head,
And
I was just
I
like,
think there's something to it potentially being intentional because of the wood on the ground has wood cutting XP attached to it. If I grab it, I gain wood cutting, despite just lifting it off the ground.
right.
But what's interesting is it's not tied to the item forever because if I pick it up and I drop it and Derek picks it up, he doesn't get wood
Get
cutting.
XP, yeah.
So it's tied to it in a very different sense. That is, and if we really wanted to save the function and save programming time, if I were project lead on this and I'm like, oh, we have a week to deliver, you could probably finish it sooner than that. But I'd be like, okay, where the product finishes, like where the thing you're cooking finishes, is in the inventory where you set it to cook and then you pull it out. You have to manually go click it and pull it out. That's the only thing that I'm like,
Okay.
because then it's still tied to the item, it's still tied to whatever, it still enters your inventory, it probably triggers all the same. The difference is when it finishes, it doesn't go, okay, now populate the asset, thump,
Yeah.
shoot it out. I mean, it doesn't like actually launch it like a fucking cannon,
Right.
you know, make it sound like it's
I
a
just
potato
in my head,
cannon, but
I'm walking. I've got my coffee cup. I'm walking around Jagex and being like, all right, so we're gonna do leveling. How did we do leveling before? Oh, when something enters your inventory, you get XP. Cool. Let's do that again. And he walks away, and they go. All right. I mean, yeah, I know how to do that. Click, 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 and then now they're like figuring out the issues with the way to do it.
It also
now.
very quickly we realized that it was like, even though it's nice for us to share resources, we end up having so many of each resource that it's like, what would really happen the same way it happened with Enshrouded is we started with one house, and then once we felt established enough, we each built our own house and we each had our own chests, and there was one central crafting area because that game functioned that way. But it's like, I can have a cook station out of my house and you can have one outside of your house. It would take 5 seconds of farming to get enough to make it. It's not that big of a deal. So I can see where they're like, oh, by the end game, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you're also gaining levels so fast in this. But that's just one of those things where I'm like, oh, this I think should be changed. Like, I think it's a small enough thing. But there's a lot of those.
Okay.
Where I'm like, maybe change this audio. Maybe change the way this highlights. Or the fact that you can't you can't run into an asset and move it in any capacity, even if it is I'll call it a loose asset, like it's not baked onto the earth.
Yeah.
Like you knock down a tree, it falls and it rolls, and you can step in front and stop it, but you can't push it back because a lot of the spells are like AoE like there's a spell that you can take one of those fallen trees and break it into all of its wood pieces all at one time. But it's like, well, it'd be nice if I could like bunch them together.
Oh, and then
Because you can't bunch them together, but if they are together, you get to do both of them. So it's like, okay, well, let me put in the extra work to like functionally change the way that it maneuvers. But it does have physics because it is rolling, and I can stop it, but I can't roll it away.
Right.
I can't give it momentum. I can only take its momentum.
For me, it was like I really liked when I first cut down a tree and it fell sideways, and then I could cut the other way. I don't know. It felt like
Which is a skill you learn.
felt very involved.
When you told me
it was
that,
cool.
I was like, that doesn't exist. And then you earn woodcutting level 3.
oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it just started.
Yeah, I like grabbed enough sticks to grab the axe. I grabbed exactly the amount, made my axe, cut the tree, and then I had to swing it left to right or right to left, I guess, whatever, to get the first ones. And then I leveled up, earned my second swing. So it's a leveling thing.
Oh, I didn't even know.
I was like, man, Brent, what the fuck? Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm like clicking everything. I'm like, I don't know, dude.
It was just
I was like, whatever. It's
left
not
or
that.
right.
I was like, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
New skill unlocked, and it's the little
Vertical
video of him
chopping.
vertical.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah, I must have
And it
just
does
ran
6
around
more
enough.
damage. It's 15 versus 21.
Yeah.
But anyway, the game is a ton of fun, and for $30, worth it.
Yeah.
Although right now, I mean, that's like a survival game. It's a very different genre than what I'll mention after this. But today, about an hour ago, they just dropped Elder Scrolls Oblivion remastered, and the game looks fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Looks better than any of the Fallouts before it, or obviously Skyrim from many years ago.
Yeah.
Whether remastered or volumetric God rays or not.
Yeah, right.
You know? I'm
Yeah,
like,
it
oh,
looks
this
really good.
looks visually, it looks amazing. So if you like the game, I might be trying it.
Yeah. If it's on Game Pass, I'll probably download and give it a shot, but not my
Yeah,
style.
I've got Game Pass for 2 weeks, so I'd probably do the same.
There you go. I know.
That's everything I played. That's everything I watched.
I was gonna say Expedition 33 is coming. I'm excited for. Towerborn's also coming to Game Pass. It's already pre-installed in my console. I'm pretty excited.
Oh, it's not on there right now? I thought it was
actually,
already.
it might have been it might have been last week, but I just knew earlier last week. I checked and it still said coming soon. I thought.
Free on Game Pass.
Sweet.
Oblivion.
Maybe I'll check it out. Oh man, because we took 2 weeks off there. I felt like there was so much. We were talking like there's.
Let me get one quick one out of the way.
Hit it.
Hit it. I got something in the
Hit
mail
it,
today.
DJ.
I got something in
that
the
shit.
mail
What's
today.
up?
I got a new wallet.
Oh, good.
I told you about
Yeah,
the
you hated that.
You saw the Ridge wallet. I was like, just pull a card out. You were having trouble. I always have trouble. I just pull out every card, fucking start shuffling them like it's a magic deck. You know what I mean? Here's my ID.
Yeah. You
Thank
put it
you.
sideways.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to use that card here. Let me. Yeah, this
I
one.
set it down and I give it a little,
Yeah.
here's my ID.
Here it is. Tap.
But then the money, like holding cash in there, it's always like it's meant to hold like a single bill, maybe 5 bills, but you get any more than that on there. You know, my Tijuana bankroll, I throw it in there. That's tough. That's tough.
It's just tough. It's hard. It's a hard thing.
You know what I'm saying.
Your diamond shoes are too tight. You're just having struggles left and right.
My diamond shoes. Yeah. No, but I got my wallet in today, and I don't know what to think about it. 'Cause
no.
you know which wallet I got, right?
Yeah, I think you showed me.
You think so? Do you remember anything about it?
No.
It's the Necronomicon.
Oh right, yeah.
Evil Dead.
It's like I knew it had something
I'll
on the
swallow
front.
your soul on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
inside. Evil Dead 2. It came in a little velvet baggie, which I'm like, oh, this is a great dice bag.
Yeah.
because it just says Evil Dead 2 on it. I'm like, keep that.
Okay.
I have my wallet. I just want your initial thoughts when I hand it to you.
Okay, hold on. I'm ready. Clean. Oh, may I see your wallet, good sir? Thank you. Whoa. Is this really big?
I think it's fucking massive.
Okay.
I
I'm
got
gonna
it, and I
put
was like,
this way.
oh no, I have to hold it with like a whole like monkey grip. I'm like, this is
very big.
crazy.
It looks cool.
It's not super thick. It's not as rigid as I thought, because it is, you know, whatever, genuine leather or something.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, and I paid more for this wallet just because it has a fucking demon face on it.
Why
Like,
not?
that's pretty cool. But it was, and I was like, okay, it's a little rigid.
Right.
I got to give it some love, but I'm like, it's leather, it'll break in. But I'm like, how do I make it smaller? This is
really
fucking massive.
It is
and I'm
really big.
like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, the inside doesn't feel as massive, but I know it is.
Yeah.
Why? And I'm like, maybe I'm used to my cards like falling more underneath each other instead of like being as visible as they are. But I had the right amount of cards in my wallet. It all fit well.
I mean, the money
It's
isn't-
got the 2 spots for the money, which I'm like, okay, so one's gift cards.
I mean, is the money pushed in all the way? Because it doesn't seem.
It might not be pushed down all the way, but it's as pushed down as I need it to be.
Oh, okay. So maybe there is room. Because in my head, I was like, well, the wallet's got to be as tall as money, right? That's the tallest thing you're dealing
Yeah.
with.
Let me pull out some of my dollar bills here. There's my banana for scale.
Yeah, that's
So
it's a little. It's a little.
it's
big.
like another 20. It's another 33%
yeah,
bigger than the money.
That's pretty big.
And I'm like, maybe it's because of its rigidity that they're like, oh, well, you won't be able to push it down all the way, so we got to make it accessible in some capacity. I don't know. But I was like, I'm not a back pocket wallet guy.
No, that's with your
You're
back.
driving, spinal,
Yep.
the whole thing.
Spinal.
And I'm like, okay, well, I can front pocket it while I drive, which I've never done. But you know me, I've got utility pocket,
yeah.
right? So I'm like, how does this fit in my utility pocket? Not as bad as I would have expected.
Right.
And you probably couldn't even see it.
Man pockets.
Man pockets. It's just like, I just know it's there. You know, the Ridge wallet was the size of a credit card.
Yeah.
I mean, it was taller because of all the credit cards stacked up in one
I
area.
have just AirPods in my pocket.
AirPods. Yep.
Well,
I've got phone on the right side.
right. My
Wallet,
phone's there. But
wallet, car key separate because we have one car, so Shay and I are always passing the fob back and forth. And then the one thing from Ridge I actually really do like, I have an AirTag on mine, but it's the thing that has the multiple keys on it. Mm-hmm. So I like that. So I'm not jangling keys around, and it clips on. And these ones being like store keys and stuff, I don't use physical keys for almost anything else. So I can often leave this at home.
right.
So it's really just wallet. But I'm thinking, we're about to be hitting summer. I'm probably wearing shorts, and I'm like, these are almost the length of shorts.
Yeah.
Like these are they go deep enough. They're like deeper than my underwear. I'm like, these things.
But I'll have my AirPods in my pocket. I'll be laying on the bed watching something or sitting in a chair, and Bethany will be like, "Isn't that uncomfortable?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You have your AirPods, like they're busting out of your pocket because I'm sitting, so my thighs get all fat. It's like
it's all pushing up. You got fucking.
And she's like, "Isn't that uncomfortable?" I go, "I don't even notice it. It's just they're always there."
Yeah.
So maybe it's you
this
gotta
one's
used
not.
to
This
it.
one's not super tall.
Oh, no.
Like it might be as tall as no, probably not.
Maybe you just got to
But-
get to that point where you're used to the size and it won't even
I
matter.
guess.
It is really
not
big,
to be
though.
a size queen, but that was a Minecraft quote. You didn't know that?
Oh no,
No.
I know. I know that. I know the term and stuff. That's from
of course, yeah.
But that's from Minecraft is the thing.
I think it was Minecraft. Oh no! It was
seemed
Death of a Unicorn.
I was gonna say that seemed like one step above a Minecraft movie
No,
reference.
there's
but-
those kinds of jokes in Minecraft.
okay.
That's why it was like so fun. But it was Death of a Unicorn.
Gotcha.
Derek and I lost it. I was like, dude, that's got to be the funniest joke said in this whole movie.
But yeah, when you handed it to me, I was like, "This is a big wallet." I don't use a wallet, but I'm like,
I
"Dang,
have
that's
to hold it. You know,
yeah,
it's
it's a
just
big wallet.
What a monster. So I'm like, man, it's really fun having the face of death on my wallet. But should I just get a normal wallet? I'd be saving not that much space overall, really. So I'm like, maybe I should just get used to it and have people comment on it, and I can talk about horror movies when it's like
Yeah.
it's a conversation starter. I should get Velcro.
To be fair, if you want that conversation started more than the wallet, you should get one of those labels to put on your card. Because we pull out the card, that gets the conversation going.
Yes, like
put a
the
VHS
Pokemon
cover,
ones, whatever, yeah.
that'll get the conversation going more than the
I'd have
wallet.
to pay a lot.
That's my thing. I don't ever. My wallet's not on me.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too. I don't pull this out daily.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, I think it's going to be something that's on me, but not on me. Like if I'm going to the beach or whatever, like it's on my person. It's in the car, but it can be locked in my car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mine will be on me once it's no longer coat weather and stuff like that. Then I would be wearing my fanny pack more often. But with the coat and the layers, it's just so annoying. That's why it just hangs out. Once it gets warmer out, then it's like pop it on, we're good to go. But
Well, there you have it. My big wallet.
Your big
Which
wallet.
is just for the watchers. Anyone listening's like, this wallet sounds like a book. Like it's a tome because it is the Book of the Dead. But
yeah, it's like a picture in the hotel. You open up the drawer, you got the Bible. It's not like a full size Bible, but still pretty sizable. That's what the wallet is.
yeah,
exactly.
Sure. Or picture 33% larger than the width of a dollar bill. As to get mathematical
Do the math,
about
dude.
it.
Draw it out.
Get quantum.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that's happened since we last podcast. They for a while they didn't have the Switch release. Now the pre-orders are available. We talked last time about going to Canada. Right after that, they decided to delay Canada as well, so our Canada trip was immediately pointless.
I'm going to Canada this weekend.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know. I'm
Canada
just
trip.
saying it's funny that you say
But
that.
we had
Hopefully I can come back.
pre-orders for the 24th is going to happen. We've talked about that a little bit. The price hasn't changed. That's exciting. The accessories price did change. Luckily, I'm not looking to pick up any accessories, so that didn't affect me as much. Now it's just the stress of seeing if I can actually pre-order Switch. So
That is stressful.
it is stressful. I'm excited to play Mario Kart, all that stuff. I'm trying to go through like any big news, interesting things that we missed because of mostly Switch stuff has been my whole like focus recently. That's probably about it.
Switch and TCGs.
Switch and TCGs. Yep. Finally got to play One Piece yesterday after building so many decks. That was fun. Finally seeing how they all work and then immediately seeing how a card might be coming that's totally destroying all the decks I built, but that's okay. That's the point, right? That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
That's what-
Cries. Cries. Tears.
The Pokemon regionals happened. Saw an amazing finals. That was really cool. Oh wow, that sounded way louder. It's behind us through the wall, but it sounded like it was right
They're
here.
here. They're in the walls.
I mean, how long are we going to talk about Last of Us? I just want to talk about Last of Us. Is that bad? Like, I'm trying to think of anything else before we just get into that. But we've got like an hour. We could talk Last of Us for an hour, right?
Could I?
Yeah, you could. You could.
I probably could.
Anything else, I guess, before we cut off?
I don't have anything that's
pressing.
Yeah, if it comes through, it comes through, but nothing yet.
Yeah, nothing pressing. So if you don't want spoilers for the first 2 episodes of the Last of Us TV show,
Right, we have 2 episodes.
Right. That's why I'm also going to put it in our title for anyone that comes in. Spoilers on
T-Lu 2.
T-Lu.
T-Lu 2.
T-Lu? Like Last of Us?
Yeah, well, all caps. But
Is it all caps?
Yeah.
2.
I mean, the rest of the whole fucking... everything's in caps.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it's fine.
There you go. Okay. I'll just do that.
Spotify, dude. What are we listening to? What are we jamming to?
Did you see it pop up?
Click. Yeah.
Anyway.
That's what you get for quadruple clicking.
So we're going into Last of Us 2 spoilers. So if you haven't watched it, or you care very much, please
that was my spoiler.
see your way out.
See your way out.
See your way out.
Get out.
It's been
of here.
real. All that stuff. So Last of Us 2. So real quick, first episode comes out. We thought it was going to end with Joel's death. It doesn't.
Oh, spoilers.
We just did all that legwork.
We did all the work.
It didn't. And they made some choices early on. It starts with a scene with Abby, her talking, explaining essentially her entire plan, like almost like an evil villain laying out, like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, the bad guy of the show, quote unquote. At this point, that's what everyone's thinking, you know?
Yeah.
And they're taking little liberties, but overall, visually, stunning how much some of the things looked like the game. Like it felt like the game. It was crazy.
Like the dance.
Yeah.
Like the dance 1-to-1.
The supermarket.
I was like, we started at the same, well, you're thinking like set design and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I watched a cutscene. It's framed the same. The actors do the same things. They say the same things. They're in the same outfits. And seeing the camera, like, we're at the lights and we pull back and we come down and it's Ellie's head. I was like, we're here. Like I've been here before. So
the only thing is that Pedro Pascal Joel knocks the shit out of that guy in comparison to the game.
Yeah,
just fucking lays him out.
But yeah, I'm already on episode 2. But yeah, you go ahead.
But I just saw it was a great moment where I saw on TikTok a bunch of people where it's just like, oh, Joel in the video game, and it's like a little kid like pushing this other little kid, and then Joel in the TV show.
Is
it's
it
just
Always
fucking
Sunny?
Oh no, it was just like a bunch of football hits of just the most brutal head tackles you've ever seen.
I thought it was gonna be like Always Sunny. They're beating up those fucking kids, those bike kids.
That's a good one too.
I was like, oh, that'd be great.
But overall, the first episode, I felt like I see there's changes, interesting, but like I think we both said, it was just like when they get so many things so right, how can you not trust them with the changes that they made?
Yeah,
at that point, it's just
exactly. Well, I was gonna say we said that here, but
we did not.
We said that last week to ourselves.
But it's like
of just man, the first season was so good. And they took their liberty with one episode, which was I'll just call it the gay episode, to be quick about it.
Yep.
And for a lot of people, it was their favorite episode. I couldn't tell you why. No. Again, I think it's the same thing for Sinners.
That was
like, sure, okay.
That was surprisingly, because I'm not like a huge Last of Us person. I actually like the second game way more than I like the first game. Like I feel like I'm at odds with a lot of Last of Us fans, but that episode was the only episode during the first season of the show where I felt myself going to my phone over and over. Like I felt like I was like, I know this isn't important to this story. I
was like, oh, we didn't forward the plot at all.
Yeah,
this
so
was
just
just to live in the
when
world.
I heard so many people.
But I was
liked
like, oh, well, they fit the rest in perfectly, and they fit in the DLC in an episode before where it makes sense when she kind of explains it to Joel, and I was like, yeah, it all worked out.
All worked out well. So
no notes.
So second season starts. They're taking, I think, liberties that probably I would say affected me more, just immediately going like, hey, remember that big shocking moment you had in this game? We're going to ruin it right now. And I went, oh, right now? Like, this is 4 minutes in. Okay.
Well, it definitely affected me too.
I was like, okay.
I wouldn't say it affected you more. I mean, maybe anyone who's played the game or in a way that's knowledgeable about it, and maybe that liked the game. I think those asterisks on there.
There's a little asterisk.
Because people played it and quit after Joel, and people played it that were just like, that just didn't like it, or people that boycotted it because they're like, there's a trans character.
The only...
Bunch of weenies.
The second game, if you cut off the epilogue thing that they had...
Sure.
And
everything post-goat.
Yes.
I think she's holding... she's like in a goat barn.
Yeah,
when she
which
has
I
the,
thought
like,
was a dream.
thunder and lightning.
Yeah, I thought it was a
Well,
dream.
it feels like a dream. I mean, it's kind of dreamy. It's not really happening.
And then like anything after that, I have my problems with, but everything before that, I felt like was very solid.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, now we get into episode 2.
Yeah.
The episode now we're thinking it's got to happen. This episode, we've got to see this. This has got to be the kickoff.
Yeah. So I watched the first episode with family on late Sunday night, despite having, I think, 3 of us that wake up before 7 on Monday. So we're finishing it 30 minutes or at least 20 minutes away from home. So we're getting home at 10:30, maybe falling asleep by 11 is like, that's just not our normal pace. So we're staying up later to watch this. And I'm like, because guys, we can't miss this first episode. I'm like, if you miss it and we have to wait a week, it will be spoiled for you.
Yes.
And Derek already had it spoiled for him, but he didn't know anything about it. He didn't know how, he didn't know why, he didn't know when, didn't know who. He knew Joel, but he didn't know who did it.
And then we come to the first episode. They don't do it.
Yes. So we come to the end of the first episode, they don't do it. And I was like, okay, it's actually not a bad idea because I imagine the way I said it the way I described it for the game is in The Last of Us 2, the game, you want to get into the action sooner rather than later. You want to give the players a reason to do whatever. As fast as Sarah dies and Joel, we learn who Ellie is, and the whole mission is go here.
Yeah.
You're going to Salt Lake. You like know the purpose of the game. In the same amount of time, you get the action of Dina, or when you're with Dina and you're at the marketplace and the snowstorm and whatever, and then Joel dies, and that's like, this is the purpose of the game. It's like the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Throughout the rest of the game, you get flashbacks to what happened in episode 1. None of that lives in the canon of the game. You start on the next day.
Yeah.
So it's like, I understand that because this show doesn't need the action right away because it's a show. You can do the episode that is which is not all. There's plenty they left out of flashback.
Yes,
including stuff I've seen in the trailer, which includes going to a space museum. Is all I'll say.
Yeah.
There might be something else, but then they also sneakily, I was like, they're gonna show us the fucking not actual last scene of the game, but like the last. I think it's the second to last scene of the game, where it's Joel and Ellie on the porch.
Oh, right.
And whatever. And they didn't show it to us. And then this one, they wakes up the next day and she goes, "Joel and I are good now." So it's like, okay, that conversation happened. We're gonna have to see it. You're gonna save it for when we can cry about it harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Which is so funny because I don't know if you've seen people reacting to Joel's death, but it's like
not a single thing.
It's people that are. Hey, I played the game. I'm catching my wife's reaction who didn't play the game. And there's so many people like, they didn't get to talk. And she was, and there's like all the crowds, like they didn't get to reconnect after everything they went through. All this stuff. I was like, they're fucking waiting. They're fucking waiting. It's going to be so good.
Well, and even then.
And it's going to make them all cry again.
I would say the thing about that conversation that from the video game, how I felt as I'm crying about it during the video game, you know what I mean? I was like, that wasn't like, it wasn't perfect. And something about that makes it better because it's more real. Because you don't end a conversation like that perfect. We love each other, sunshine and rainbows, everything's unicorn and daisies, right? So it's like, it was like a mid conversation that just made everything feel better. Not good, but better.
Yeah.
And that's just what hurt more. And then, oh God, the guitar at the end. I could fucking scream about it. But what do they say? Screaming, crying, throwing up.
Yeah. That's the other thing too is we're talking about spoilers for the last 2 episodes of The Last of Us show.
Yeah, so I'm not doing the game.
I'm trying to avoid things about the game, but it's hard when you're trying to like tie things because things they changed in the second episode make me go, what? For the rest of the show.
Yeah. We'll talk. We'll get there.
Okay. So I'm trying to think what's the best way to go. Because I
think the only thing they also haven't shown in a flashback that the second I hear it or see it, I'm going to cry is when Joel plays guitar for her when he explains he's going to teach her. And he sings the song. Oh, God. Oh, God. I think that's going to get me for sure.
It was also, I saw a great video. Somebody was interviewing Pedro Pascal, and he's just like, "Hey, do you think you'll ever have a more impactful death on screen, and like you did as Oberyn in Game of Thrones? Like that death haunted me." And Pedro's like, "There might be another one that comes up." And it's like, oh man, it's like he knows, and I think it was even before maybe Last of Us started coming out, but it's like he was already knew.
He's probably in talks. He's already doing. He's like,
so funny.
That is funny.
But so I think for me, for episode 2. There's like 3 things that I'm like, this changes
everything.
everything.
Sure.
And I would say it's less important to me. So I want to hear what you have to say first, and then see if I
want to
agree.
hear it first?
I think so.
I kind of want to react to yours.
Okay.
That's funny that we're both like gun shy.
Okay,
on
I'll do mine first. So the big thing for me is that Tommy's not at Joel's death. And while he's not there, Jackson gets overrun.
Is that two things or one thing?
That's like, it all ties
didn't count 'em
to
up.
it all ties as one thing.
Okay.
Because for me, the second game is like, oh, fucking Tommy's gone or doing his own thing, and like they're trying to work with Tommy / track down Tommy, but also try to revenge. Like Tommy being gone is a big part of the game.
Tommy's trying to snipe you as Abby later and stuff. Yeah.
But in this show, I don't see Tommy leaving Jackson. Because Joel died, but he knows if he leaves, like Jackson might fall. Like I don't think he gives that up.
Sure.
So in my head, I'm like, Tommy's whole trajectory is now different in my head. Unless they just go, well, he did this in the game. We just wanted that cool fight scene, so he's leaving still. Then I go, okay, well, you kind of felt, I don't know why you did all this then. And it's so funny because they did the whole with the pipe, and it's like, oh no, the infection's here. And I go, well, motherfuckers, 20 minutes later, the infection's fucking here because there's a whole street of dead things. But I don't know what this pipe had to do with anything now.
Okay, go ahead.
So that was one big thing. That kind of ties into the fact that like Dina being with Joel and Dina being like there for Ellie, but also not like really agreeing with her vengeance. I'm like, I feel like Dina has more of a reason to believe in Ellie's vengeance now because she's like, I fucking saved Abby. I was fucking there. I was part of it, and she fucking betrayed me now. So I'm like, almost Dina's whole character's different in my head. And also, I guess that's maybe just two things, because then that also ties to the fact that Dina wasn't with Ellie at the pot place, which I think solidifies their relationship more. So I guess maybe it's just two big, it's Dina and Tommy for me are very different now, which is very confusing for where I know the game goes.
Yeah. So Jackson is a big difference. It's so funny. I
Crazy.
didn't say a word throughout the whole thing. Maybe a couple like, ooh, or whatever, you know, those kinds of things are just like, maybe I said a funny quip. I don't know. But by the end, we finish, and Shay, who watched me play like 3/4 of the game, she didn't watch the ending, so I don't spoil it. I didn't get too rigid on that for her. But she goes, man, is that how it played out in the game? And I'm like, no. Like, this was not close, really. Like,
Not
it was,
at all.
There's lines and there's golf clubs and there's things that I'm like, oh, I can tie all of these back. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of like them separating the market into their own episode. I was like, okay, I guess they're just doing that to put like action in the first episode.
Yeah.
But the second episode, funny enough, another thing I mentioned after watching it with the fam, I was like, it's crazy because I feel like that was a better fight against the White Walkers than we actually got.
Yeah.
Like, we're protecting a wall in a snowy valley against essentially zombie creatures that are, you know, quote unquote smarter, you know, and stuff. And I was like, I liked that. I liked seeing it. It did take like Tommy not being there and the repercussions, but I was like, oh, because Jackson isn't a character when you're done. You know, you have Seattle, and then you have a farm. I'm being general.
Yeah.
You have Seattle, you have a farm, and then you have, I think they go like Santa Monica, epilogue.
Yeah,
It
wherever
was
that
like,
is. Yeah.
you don't spend time in Jackson except for that first day, and then flashbacks.
You
to,
throw snowballs, you're getting your horses.
So when I think Derek asked me, he's like, so what do you want to see in this first episode? And in my mind, I'm like, Joel get his fucking head caved in with a golf club. But I said, a snowball fight is all I said. I was like, if we get a snowball fight, I'll feel good.
Yeah.
We never got that snowball fight, but also I was like, it's because they're prepping for the fucking end of the world, because they found a mass grave of zombies, and now these smart ones are hiding, and there's like 30 or whatever. But I think all that I could tell with the pipe, the way that they timed it in the show, just to talk about the pipe for a second and the shit crawling through, was like, call it symbolism or like something very specific to be like, look, they're coming into Jackson. Like, they being hundreds and thousands of seemingly of these zombies are getting their way in. And it's when homie breaks the pipe open and peels back the brush and it fucking whatever, is when we see Ellie riding by herself towards the, I'll say mansion. It's not actually a mansion, but I'm going to call it a mansion. Riding towards the mansion, and they fucking break off.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's happening. So it's like there's a smartness hive mind thing that seems to be happening where it's what pulled them away. Again, I'm like, sure. whatever. Like that doesn't really matter to me. But
to me, the fight at Jackson and them shooting and doing all the stuff and the things running up against the wall and all that,
the barrels,
when
and
I was watching it, I'm like, this is all really cool. I think it's really well done.
It looked great too.
However, I go, this scene is a standard zombie movie scene, and I always thought Last of Us was really cool because it didn't always do the classic zombie thing.
Yeah.
So as soon as the show started to run up against the wall, they're climbing over. I was like, I never felt or saw this in the games, I feel like. And I feel like it's just here for the show.
I mean, the closest thing you get is actually what we got in season 1 with the when they come out of the sewers and into the suburb before Sam kills his brother.
Yeah.
You know, before that happens.
Yeah.
And we get the big breakout when the thing falls in and the giant guy comes out and stuff. And it was like, oh, you definitely amped this up because maybe call it the PS3 limitations, call it the video gaminess of this game. That's like, well, we can't really kill all these things and we're not going to make them run and hide. It's not a survival horror game. So whatever. But I was like, oh, that was a tasteful upgrade in the zombification of everything. But this one, I was like, there's like 1,000 zombies here. Where did you come from? And you're all underground? Like, I don't want to think too much about how it all works, but I'm like, I've never had to before.
Yeah.
You know?
They also, if say the thing sees and goes, oh, it's the hive mind, so the pack turns and runs, I go, so how does any stealth kill on any of these creatures ever work again?
So then, it's like their hive mind?
Yeah. So how does whole game mechanics work?
Besides spores, because I think there's something to that being like technically it's living and it's separate and it's whatever. When's the mushroom a separate living entity outside of in a host? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a separate living entity going through the pipe. Now, it's funny because I'm like, Neil Druckmann's writing this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and he, we've already known it's different because in the first season we go to Indonesia, we talk about it and what it is and why it is and how it was in gluten and it was in the flour. And we see her, Sarah, in the first episode, miseating a cake, a cookie and a cupcake and pancakes, I think is what it's like. Oh, she didn't get the gluten, so she's not going to be infected. She's going to get gunned down by the end of the first episode, but
no big deal.
So it was interesting for that it's already changed enough, like even at the first season, but that's fine. The White Walker attack of sorts was interesting and Jackson falling. I'm like, I guess why not? Because Jackson doesn't matter after this in the same way. Like it can be there, it can't be there. And then later I made a comment because I'm talking about all the differences. I talk about Tommy not being there. I talk about what happens is Tommy gets hit or gets shot and then he gets knocked out. So he doesn't really see it, but he's there. And I'm sure that's how him and Ellie, they get back.
And he probably wakes up and sees Joel fucking bleeding. He sees it.
Dead, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, it's funny because then he walks with a limp for the rest of the game and he's on such a vengeance track that he's what kind of pulls Ellie in. He's like, I got a lead. I got a guy that's telling me she's there in Santa Monica. I think is where it is. And so all that happens. And I'm like, he's crying in the street with his wife over a lot of fucking dead people.
Which
there's a lot of dead people.
And Joel is important, obviously, to him.
Yeah. But Joel might as well have died in this.
Exactly.
Everyone else he knows is dead.
Exactly.
And he's a great leader in the show. He's very he's the one kind of in charge of, his wife is the mayor, right? So and then even Joel was head of shit there. So it's like, when you look at it, like he and his wife are two leaders, and they have a third leader in Joel as their lead foreman construction guy, and they lose everyone below them and Joel. It's kind of like they need me more than ever.
Exactly.
We don't know if that change is going to be what happens because we haven't seen him react. We haven't seen.
Also, in my head though, when you're like Jackson falls, why not? It's not important anymore. I go cool, but now that you had it fall, I almost want to see what happens, but that's going to take away time from all the stuff I know I want to see too.
Unfortunately, I don't want to see it happen. I just don't care because I've never cared about Jackson.
I don't care.
I've never,
But at the end, I go, well, now should I care? Am I going to get 2 episodes of Jackson just running when Ellie's traveling to wherever she has to get to?
Sure, hope not.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm worried about now, where it's like, how much of Jackson is going to be a character? Should I be caring? Because now it feels like that's going to be Tommy's storyline. Yeah, which is so weird to think.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to go for that, but then there's the Dina part where it's Jesse, right? Jesse and Ellie.
Yeah.
It's Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse.
I just anyway, Jesse.
Yeah,
he's not a name I need to remember much.
That's weird.
Yeah,
he's my favorite character.
As names out my mind, but wow. Yeah, so Jesse and I was like, okay, it's kind of fun. They put it in a 7-Eleven because I think it was in a library before.
It was
and
something. It's like in a basement, or
it was in a basement of a library.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh sure, product placement. Throw your Dr. Pepper ad in there.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, I see. Like I'm looking at all the products, and it's a 7-Eleven growing weed.
Yeah, is that what you see? Yeah. All right, then you're
not dreaming. Yeah.
And
I was like, okay, it's still like shitty enough weed, and she's still interested for whatever reason. And I was like, yeah, but man, we had like a really important scene here.
Really important.
Like a wicked important scene.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Because if we don't get that scene now, later on, if they go the route that did go, nothing about their relationship is impactful.
Well, and she's not I don't know how to say it best, but like we'll call it a connecting moment. She doesn't even have a connecting moment with Jesse there.
No.
To like fluff him up before a potential season finale level type moment of his door entry. He's gonna get departed. And
okay.
Yeah. And
that's only a slight whistle because you have to know Departed and you have to know this game.
yeah,
so.
and also if it's such a surprise in The Departed, it's gonna be a surprise in this too.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Don't know.
And I don't know how this season's gonna
Now
how it's projecting.
a lot of it's like obviously Ellie versus Abby is essentially what they set up.
Sure.
Cool. Everything else though is almost like
I'm also like, okay, so Dina and for Mel being one of the crew members, the medical one.
Yeah.
There, I'm like, are they? Do they have a thing inside them? Do they have, are they like, because the pregnancy of them is like mirroring. It's like meant to be a mirror for kind of how it might end the season. Gosh, it's so hard to be vague.
it's so hard to be vague.
But it's like it's like fucking clear as day on Mel.
Yeah.
In the game. Dina, she speaks it to you later, if I remember correct. But still, it's just like, are they still going with this plot? Like, it seems like, okay, we're sisters in arms walking back with Joel, which I gotta say, take who's who where there. I was like, that's a good way to end the show, is them just dragging him off in the snow. That was a cool episode, or a cool ending, and yeah, that felt good. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not good.
It felt good in the way it needed to feel good.
Yeah. I wish I could just give you the vision of me watching my mom at the end. She goes, "Is he really fucking dead?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's fucking dead." Yeah.
What do you think, he's gonna come back and be like a hybrid?
A hybrid. Well, she's like, maybe it'll be like she lives in his mind, so we're gonna get one of those things. Maybe it'll just be flashbacks. And I was like, well, you don't want to know, do you? I could tell you. I'm not.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I don't want to know. He's dead, right? And I'm like, yeah, he's fucking dead.
He's gonna be like Edward.
Cut his head off.
New
is the
Moon.
Only thing
in New Moon, where every time Ellie's in danger, he starts seeing Joel. Stop it!
Yeah.
Stop, Ellie! Don't do this. He's like, the only way I can see you.
Go through with this?
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how else to speak to the differences that are that way, that are like that kind of like forward thinking only. Because otherwise, I think it played out fine. It was just weird that I was like, they knocked the fuck up. So when at first I see it's Dina and Joel, and they say that, I'm like, is Dina gonna like? Because knowing that at this moment, if it's like the game, Dina's pregnant.
Yep.
Only starting.
Yes.
But she's pregnant. Is she gonna get the shit kicked out of her to get knocked out? So that, because like if she's taking Tommy's place,
right?
And I was like, they just medically put her to sleep. I was like, what? What, you're carrying that shit? I mean, it makes sense you're carrying that shit on you if you're planning to torture somebody, I guess.
Yeah. But
I was like, they're just gonna put, that was just a strange thing that I was like, my worry for Dina was about a baby thing, and I was like,
well, I had two things. I had one, I was like, are they gonna beat up Dina? That would be crazy. Or because Tommy gets shot too, right?
He gets. That's why he walks with a limp for the rest of the time. He gets shot in the leg.
Are they going to shoot Dina? And then I was like, then they're like, oh, we're going to pull out drugs. And I went, are those drugs safe? Because I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but those drugs might be really bad. That could that could change a lot of shit.
It could do a lot of stuff. So that's kind of where I was. That felt like a weird It's almost like we had to force this part of it, which is small, and it's just kind of like, again, for the forward thinkers of it that know what's coming.
As it's being told, there's the game players and the first timers is apparently the two realms. For the game players, we're like, what does this mean?
Just because it's a property, just because it's anyone who watch, a book movie, people. There's the readers and the first timers, right? That's all how it goes. But the things that they changed in this one were, I won't say upsetting because I'm not going to say I'm upset because I still trust them. I'm just like, what are you going to do? How are you going to do this? Like, what's next? I guess you're kind of keeping me on my toes in some way. But it's so weird how they do shit so specific, like the employee of the month that had the dog and stuff. I'm like, that was that's a digital asset pulled from the game and put into real life. It's crazy how like the board that is like kind of like a cork board full of shit is 1-to-1 the same. And looking at some videos that were just like, oh, what were some of the Easter eggs I missed? And it doesn't look like I really missed many, but I'm like, man, there's really just so much love in this. The way that you have to climb the truck to get up into the market and stuff. I was like, it's so 1-to-1. But then it was his death scene and everything kind of leading up to it that I was like, and I don't mean at this point Tommy, Dino. I'm like, why is this so different? Well, you go. Do you have anything
me,
for that?
Yeah. So for me, when I was watching it, because I would say the big moment is like anything with like when he gets shot to start it off. There's like the golf club and the actual brutality of it, but it's, hey, you can't rush that line. I was like, oh, that's like a big thing. She fucking talks forever, it felt like in the show. And I went, I
go even earlier than that. For me, two things. One, it's daytime.
Oh.
Those fucking windows, there was so much light in this scene. I was like, this doesn't feel, I don't want to say gritty because the whole world's gritty.
Right.
But I'm like, something about this not only feels too bright, but feels too cool toned, like too blue. And the game, the way I remember the death at least is like, it's blue, but it's like our wall blue over there, like dark blue.
Yeah.
Because it's nighttime blue. It's not daytime winter blue.
I also, from the beginning, Joel being concerned with Jackson, there's never that moment of everyone's like, oh, we're safe, we're calm.
Yeah, he's like, we got to rally.
Yeah.
Yes, but that was the thing, too, that I was like, unfortunate. I was telling this mostly to Shay because everyone had to go home.
Yeah.
But I was like, it sucks because in the game, we don't know who she is.
Don't know anything.
We don't know who she is in relation to anyone else. We don't know her motives.
She doesn't know his name.
We assume she's looking for Joel maybe because she says, I think he's down there.
Yeah.
And she knows Joel. And I think she even knows Joel Miller because the way I remember the conversation, I didn't look it up afterwards, but we save everyone. We're back in. I'm glad we saved you.
Yeah.
I'm this person. There's this person. He goes, yeah, that's my brother Tommy and I'm Joel. And
I think Tommy goes, I'm Tommy. That's my brother Joel.
And then they go, Joel Miller. And he's like, yeah. And then it's shot in the leg, like instantaneously. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? Mm-hmm. This one is so much like, they might as well have been like, Joel Miller's down there. How are we going to get him? Oh, I think he's actually coming to us. Look, it's Joel Miller. And when she comes in and goes, help them. That's Joel Miller. I'm like, what was that help them line? Why? And I was like, the surprise isn't there. And it feels like it really took a lot of, because obviously the whole moment's a surprise. My mother was surprised. Like it works for the newbies.
Totally.
But I'm like, the shot, that is like a, what just happened? And he gets his fucking leg blown out. And it just wasn't there. That shock wasn't there.
Also,
and then it's daytime. And then she talks to him forever.
And
I was like, oh my God.
For my big thing was in the game, he gets tourniqueted and then held against his will by two of the other characters.
Yeah.
And this,
like against the wall, like sitting.
He's just sitting there and just taking it. And I go,
she's sitting right next to him. I'm like, just reach and thumb her eyes in. Like,
right?
Like there's no fight in you right now. What's happening?
Yeah, I know you aren't. I'd say you look around, you're going to lose this because they've got machine guns. But
any gun, they got knives.
They got anything.
There's six of them, and you just lost your kneecap.
But at the same time, I'm like, how are you just letting it all happen? In the game, he's held up. It's like it's 6-on-1. In the show, it's like it's 1v1. She just got a lucky shot off first, and everyone else seems non-committal. Like everyone's just like, well, Abby's doing her Abby thing. Yeah, I guess we'll wait.
Yeah, and they're in the game, they are helping her more and whatever. But as you learn and know, you're like, they're not in for this. They're just like, we almost kind of got lucky. We just need to be done, and we're going. Except for the guy who gets sliced up, he was pretty. And it was like that felt pretty 1-to-1. I was pretty like, close. Oh, cool. He's got the scar. He's got. Yeah. We're gonna see that come forward. But it was then.
Well, doesn't Tommy kill him? They tie him to a chair, and it's like, I'm going to show you the thing. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah, and you see the remnants of it or whatever.
Then I'm like, are we gonna not get Tommy killed?
So we
Who
don't.
knows?
That's a small thing. I mean, if we don't see a girl holding a PSP, whatever, I don't care. Like,
Well, I'm just like, I really like that. He's like, oh, you show that, when she's like, oh, Joel taught me this. You show the thing, blah blah. Blah. I liked that. I was like,
it's a callback to the first game, first season.
We didn't need to
re-explain it or see
all that
it,
stuff, but it was a cool thing to have the way it was laid out in the game, or in the game. And so I'm like, in the show, I was like, well, maybe we have. Is Ellie gonna be literally the one that does it, or the one that kills everyone? Like,
I don't know. The only one, because I've seen the trailer, I see the red light on her face and the like prep for a swing that I'm like, we're gonna get that hospital kill, and that one's so dope. You may not even remember it, but I won't talk about that right now.
Yeah.
But then it's weird because it's like, okay, Ellie is like following horse tracks, and part of the reason for them being stuck in the snowstorm in the game and everything is because they don't have tracks. So I'm like, all right, we're in the snowstorm again, but I guess not as bad here as it is randomly in other places. It felt like the storm changed a lot. There's hoof prints, so I guess okay, so you kind of know where they're going. So she follows that way. When in the game it's nighttime, you can see the light from the mansion, so she like goes to that, and then she shows up. You hear the noises overall. And it was small that I was like, she climbed upstairs into the thing where in the game, if I remember, she hears it and she goes downstairs to open the door. And it just was like, something about it just didn't feel the same. Okay. I'm just like, I don't know. Her performance was great. Her saying the same lines were great. But I was shocked that I wasn't feeling as much. And I was like, I don't know. I'm just not, it was like so much change that I was like, something about this doesn't feel right to me.
Definitely
Meanwhile,
felt
my
different.
mom's like, paralyzed, But I was like, I don't know. I'm just not getting the same tone. And then she talks forever. And then she does, she says the...
I've been waiting so long for
and
this.
you just fucking kill me or whatever.
Fucking get it over with.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you don't get to rush this. And
I was like,
I think we all want you to rush it.
3 paragraphs in, he said that. I was like, you didn't say that before the actual
And you didn't
quote.
fight, and you didn't do, like...
It just didn't hit the same in a way.
Yeah, it didn't.
And then, cut to her just punching him in the face as he's fucking knocked out. And they're like, dude, stop.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess maybe you're just showing me that they're still not in on this. Like, they're like, okay, what the fuck? But they do the everything from Ellie showing up is like 1-to-1, except for the lighting and the, those small things.
Does she stab him in the game?
No. She crushes his head.
That's what I thought. Because when that happened, I went, that's just, I get it.
Well, and the club was, and it's like, you just like softly hear
which
it.
I'm like,
which I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting audio thing.
I get it, but I'm like, it was the
brutality of such a monster smashing his head in.
Yeah.
And also, if that happened, my mom wouldn't go, is he really alive?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, well, maybe if you put his brain on the floor.
Yeah. I felt like overall, the whole scene felt not directly hollow, but it felt like there were pieces missing to the picture.
I think overall it felt less than. I can't really point to anything that felt bigger. Like anything that felt bigger.
Even the thing when she finds out it's Joel out in the woods, like when he's saving her.
Because they're calling for each other.
Yeah. Because Dina's like, Joel, where are you? And she's like, Joel, and she like knows, and he's like, all right, we need to go back to Jackson. She's like, no, my friends are right over there. We can just go over there. No, come on, we could just get there.
Well,
and it's like, I get you're trying to like.
Did you say this or someone else? I think maybe it was Derek, because Derek was like, he never would have gone to that mansion without asking any questions, whatever. And I'm like, well, think of it this way. I think he was, geographically, he was much closer to that cabin. He was deep on patrol. It didn't take long to get there. Even when he turns back to Jackson, it's like not forever away, but it's far. By the time it takes him to get to the mansion, Dina gets frostbite.
Yeah.
So it's like, she would have been in peril by the time they're getting back, and they would have been showing up to a fucking shit show,
The frostbite was a little crazy.
So that's the thing where I'm like, okay, it must be like if they're saying it's cold, like Abby being cold, I was like, okay, she's from Salt Lake, maybe it's not that cold there because they're also in the mountains,
right?
But I was like, he shows up. He just saves somebody. They have friends, whatever. He asks if they're military. Great, let's grab our weapons. Let's go. He's like on their side without asking questions. I can hear that. But saying he wouldn't have gone to the cabin, I'm like, I don't know. He might have because of the frostbite thing. But it sucks I have to make these stretches.
Yeah.
Because I think even, it was good.
Because in the game, they just get chased to the house. And then they close the gate and they throw all the fire.
There's a fight at the
a
house, but
little
it's not
fight.
1,000.
No, and
It's just
it
a
just
number.
makes sense that they end up in that room talking to the point where then the kickoff happens. But it's almost like they had to make Abby push so hard that I was like, It's like not. It feels different, like a lot different, to have Abby be the, come on, we're so close. Let's just get there. Let's just do it. And Joel being like, okay, even if he would have still made that choice for Dina, it's like, are you giving Joel a choice here? That's so weird to give Joel, where in the game it was very much like, no, we have to.
It's here or we die.
That's it.
There is no choice.
Yeah. So It felt, again, weird little choices where you're like, what are you trying to say with this change or this choice that you did? I don't know what it was, but I can't say I like it. I'm not going to say it's turning me off or I'm going to stop watching, but it's still like, I don't see why you're doing this when it was already laid out for you. And if Neil Druckmann's so, like, you already did it. You did the thing.
Yeah.
Why are you, what's going on here?
And it is funny that they're changing it now. It's kind of like, oh, because you were so one-to-one, you got established, you did everything, we'll say right. Not that there's a right and wrong per se, but everyone loved it. Like, you get the gold star. There's no demerits here. That you then go, now let's try it. Let's change it again. And it's weird because I think as you've seen with the first game, second game, like the second game did enough to change. It shook, it rocked the boat.
Yep. Hey.
It rocked the boat. And that was where I'm like, if you follow in the footsteps, you're already rocking the boat.
Yeah.
And also,
because guess what?
Funny enough, I think they made a safer choice feeling. It didn't feel as like risky in this one. So it's like, I'm almost sad they didn't go there. They didn't go farther. But I'm like, hey, I don't know. It's unfortunate because, again, I still trust them. And I'm like, I also have the video game. Like, maybe they just said, I want to do something different because people have a different experience over there and I want to change it again. I don't know.
It definitely feels safer. And I'm wondering if that's the HBO, hey, we still want you to make this thing. It's going to be good for us. But we need your moms, the first timers to be not so. We can't throw another red wedding at them. We can't do because of it's like we need to throw less at them.
Fucking White Lotus just had incest in it, so I'm like, I don't know, maybe they're not changing from.
Well, maybe they see Last of Us as like a more money maker if they calm it down.
Yeah, well, I think they're already doing something by making it run longer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because it's only 7 episodes this season. I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That reminds me. I wanted to look because I noticed the reason I was not only because the first episode didn't have it. I was like, well, they have to do the second one. Second episode has to have him die, but it's the second episode didn't have a title. Every other episode did. So I just wanted to see if it had a title yet. But I was saying, okay, I was like, we have 4 episodes left. I imagine what it's going to end with. If I had to guess now, if I'm planning out, if they said, hey, you have 2 seasons more, this one and the next one.
Yeah.
So I guess up to 3 seasons total. If it's up to 3 seasons total, I end this season with Ellie setting out to find Abby.
Whoa.
Which for me, here's how I get there.
Okay. For another 5 episodes?
Well, no, hear me out.
Okay.
You're not hearing me out.
I'm here. I'm sorry. You hit me.
I think I'll say 3 episodes because we have 4, I'll say we have 4 left, right?
I thought you were going to take like a slight left. You did a U-turn on me. They were so shocked. I grabbed that shit handle.
I pulled the E brake.
Yeah, sorry.
Like,
oh, wait, what?
Let me just double check
sorry.
episode count to make sure
I'm
using the right numbers here. I see 7 episodes.
Okay.
Oh, they took the titles away for the episodes. That's interesting, but this one was called Through the Valley, which I also noticed when I hit play, didn't say it on there. It didn't have the episode title, which I thought was funny. Because at least when you hit pause or whatever, it'll tell you. Rated 9.5 out of 10. The last one was 7.5 out of 10. Was the IMDb rating.
Wow.
But let me tell you. So we got 4 episodes. We have 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
We have
5 more episodes.
In the next 4 episodes,
okay,
we are hunting down all the friends. We're in Seattle or traveling to Seattle. There's the one at the hospital is what I was telling you about, where she like injures the person and she falls down into the
it's like, oh, you're
area,
immune,
and she falls in and goes, oh my god, like you really are, like no way this is real. And that's when she's like backed up against the door, and you remember she says, Joel died like a little bitch, and then she fucking like beats her in, but you don't look at her, you only watch Ellie's face getting angry and the red. Oh, so good.
Which, to be fair, in the show, he did die like a little bitch. He didn't fight once.
I think maybe she said he cried like a little bitch or something. But anyway, there's an episode Getting There, right, where it's they're in Seattle, they're wandering, the horse blows up. That's maybe how we end one of those episodes where it's like the bomb blows up the horse, which I hope they shock everyone with that. I hope it's out of nowhere. I hope I see them trot along and I just can look to the left, see everybody and see everyone go,
yeah.
There's it, I'll say when it starts raining, to be like very general about Seattle, there's the aquarium where we go and Mel, the medical one, and all that happens. There's plenty of time for us to see them get holed up in the movie theater. There's her in like the almost suburban area fighting where you didn't want to kill the dogs. And, oh my God, they got Glenn. There's where we start fighting like wolves, the WLF.
Yeah.
So that's those episodes. The final episode, I think, is when maybe that's when Mel happens. Maybe that's when we get back to the theater. There's panic. There's whatever. Abby busts in. That happens.
Yep. As vague as possible.
I could name everything, but that happens. And then in the game, if you remember, we've already kind of done. We're starting a back and forth at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking we don't start the back and forth yet because we're at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So what do? We cut. It's her. It's Dina. It's Child. It's Homestead. It's, we get the little Gustavo Santaolalla doing the as it cuts
at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Okay.
As it cuts to the farm. We're in the farm. It's the music. It's everyone. Oh look, it's an okay life now. Thunder, lightning, everything's terrible. I don't know if it's Dina. Well, can't be Dina, but I'm assuming Tommy again. I'm pretending it's the video game and that not everything's changed. He comes in. I got a lead. She leaves. She fights with Dina. Oh, I don't want to leave. You better not leave. I'll leave if you leave and whatever. We set off. We go. Next season, season 3, that's when we start with the struggle again, whatever. Maybe that's when we flash back to Abby in the zoo with her dad.
Okay.
And then we go through Abby's story, just to be general. We go through Abby's story, and that's when, third to last episode, we get the struggle again, and we see it from her perspective now, having everything with Lev and the scars have happened, And that's where then the last 2 episodes, or the final episode or whatever, is just that epilogue. Is just we're back with Ellie. We're now going to Santa Monica. We realize how much of a mistake this is. Because at that point, we're like, what are you doing? Like, I forget if your team, she should have gone, done everything, but the end should have changed. Like the boat.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, I'm like, what do you do? Do not leave this house.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like, you shouldn't have, because I think we reached the same ending, Ellie and I. She just has to go through fucking hell to get there. And it's kind of good she does for the sake of the other 2. But I'm like, that is a terrible choice, because what happens at the end, we come back, empty house, guitar don't work no more, And that's where I'm like, now my heart is filled with sadness for you, Ellie.
And wouldn't it have been more Phil if something else had happened right before then?
Oh, no. That's
Okay.
Not that it's full, but it fills it more, where I'm like, you dumbass, like you should have chose this before you fucking left your family for it, But all the same, I think we have to have empathy for Abby for it to make any sense for her to go, not for her to leave, but for the thing to happen at the end, right? And that's where I think season 3 is gonna be us gaining Abby's whatever. I think she's gonna be a villain the whole season until we'll say Dina. I don't know who it's gonna be, but she spares Dina and quits and leaves, and we're like, oh my God, like the cycle's broken. She beat the shit out of Ellie. She beat the shit out of Dina. Like everyone's whatever, but she like let it go to try to stop the cycle. And that's when we still might be like, yeah, let's go, Ellie. And then season 2, we see her leave again, but towards the end, and we go, Ellie. Shit, like Abby kind of broke the cycle and is better now because of her. She like lived Joel's thing, and I don't know. And then we get the last 2 episodes, that is the epilogue. Are you with me now?
I see. When you said leave for,
You thought I was gonna have a whole season of Santa Monica?
I thought you were gonna have a whole season of fucking Jackson. Because when you're like going after Abby, in my head, that's like when she leaves.
Oh no!
Because I was like, whoa!
I meant the second time she leaves. She
I see what you're
departs
saying.
for Abby.
I see what you're saying now.
Yes.
That makes more sense. Because in my head, I was like, I guess you weren't interested in Jackson, but maybe you've got some weird thing that. Maybe I'm trying to remember the game.
No, that's me assuming that they're going to turn it into 3 seasons. Because if they said there's 4 seasons, I go, okay, how do I stretch this out different now?
Well,
I think season 3, you have a turn in the middle, and that's when we introduce Lev and whatever, and we start finding Lev peril. And then season 4 is finishing Lev now.
so
Santa Monica.
so I don't know how many seasons are.
What's
timeline?
announced is 3.
3.
What's greenlit is 3.
So this is where I'm coming at it now with what
Tell
I
me.
know from the show right
Tell me.
now. Because between Joel's death and the lead, it's like months, right? Because it's like spring or summer when Abby
Joel's
sets out.
death and the lead.
Because isn't when Ellie's at his grave, it's no longer winter in the game. Like there's a jump in time. Right? Am I crazy? Because
I don't know how long. How long do you think it's been?
I thought it
Give
was
me a
later that year. Like it was like 5-6 months
I
later.
think it's like I was just say we'll say 5 months. Yeah, I would say it's like barely a season ahead, but it's a season ahead.
Okay.
It feels like spring in Seattle now. Seattle's always raining, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
But it's like
But I thought
when I say the lead, it's the lead that Tommy gets and brings is the one that sends her to Santa Monica at the end of the game.
Oh.
That's when he rolls out the map on the farmhouse table.
Right. I thought you meant like what? I can't really remember what kicks off Ellie going to find them.
Well, now it's going to be the WLF. It's going to
Yeah.
be that Dina saw the patch. They
Yeah.
talked, oh, what does that mean? What's wolf mean?
Yeah.
And they're out of, because if you remember the WLF are a band of people that took over for, I think it's Fedra is the name of the government agency that runs those like prisons that Joel was in, essentially with the wall. They can't leave. So there's only one spot. Seattle is the only city where a group of armed citizens rose up and overtook Fedra, and it's the WLF. So it's like, oh, we know where they are.
Yeah.
So that's how they're gonna. That's the quote unquote lead.
The thing that I'm seeing now, this might be really crazy, but Joel's death happens in the game. There's that month time jump, and then the game continues. Are we gonna get
Time jump? Yeah, it's like
an
a time
episode or 2 episodes of before that happens, before they leave? Because now what if they go, before Ellie and Dina leave?
Oh, okay.
Because now it's, Jackson's in trouble. Let's take these next 2 episodes to rebuild Jackson, to get that all situated so then Tommy can leave. And we're not doing a time jump, episode 3.
Not.
I don't want it either.
Be the most boring TV ever. It's like we need to, because then vengeance doesn't feel like a strike. It doesn't feel so swift. It doesn't feel like the way they want us to feel about Ellie, which is like the whole point is that everyone is acting quickly, irrationally, emotionally, and murdering people on the way.
Right. But it
which
could
is
be,
what we need.
But it could be
her to
Ellie
feel.
being like that.
Well,
And
that's where I think the second one makes sense, because it's like we jump like a year.
for the second lead.
The second,
Yeah.
and that's where I was like, we've jumped a year. You have so much to lose right now. You've sat with it. You have PTSD about it, whatever. But like, you have thought and thought and thought, and you think this is the right call. That's where I think you fucked up. The knee jerk reaction of now I feel I have nothing to lose, especially with Jackson being gone. Of like, we're going now, and Dina like, I'm coming with you. Is like you're being vindicated by Dina, the one you care about so much, and Jesse. So
Okay. Yeah.
So that's
And
where I'm
Tommy.
like, that's where I'm like, we have two vengeances in this game, and one we feel better about, and at least for me, the second one, I'm like, you're fucking up. This is terrible. Don't do this.
I feel good for both of them, and then she
know.
wimps out, but
Sure.
the little baby.
Hey, spoilers.
You made a promise. Anyway. Not my Ellie. Not at the end.
It's not your
All
Ellie.
the way up
What if
until
I
that
told you
point.
that it's not your Ellie anyway? That she's her own person. You
No,
know, it's
you
Neil
know,
Druckmann's Ellie, maybe. So,
Well, which one?
because
In
not
the
my
show
Ellie.
one? or-
My Ellie wouldn't have left that second time.
See, there you go. See, there's
If we had our
there's a
Ellies, that's- well,
divergent
that's what I'm
point
saying.
for both of us. Mine's just later.
Yours is like blink and you miss at the very
It's
end of
so
the game.
close. She was so close. We were right there. We were on the precipice of greatness. So sad.
God, dude.
Because I don't want to talk about it. Well, I'm not
I
gonna
do.
talk about it.
I could talk about this game for
I know.
fucking years. I love it so much.
I was surprised how much I liked it, because I was not a big fan of the first one, and I thought playing as Ellie would make me like it less because I hated her in the first game. She drove me
Playing
crazy.
as her or the character.
The character in the first game.
Yeah, she's a 14-year-old girl.
I know,
so yeah, it's fair enough.
But in my head, I'm like, fuck, I'm dealing with all this shit, right? Just shut up and be quiet. And I'm just like, I will get. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, yours would also just stand up T-pose through a fucking box, and then so you had some weird.
There was
shit.
a lot of weird shit.
I didn't have any glitches or anything. So,
but it was very much like it's like this whole game is a fucking escort mission, and I can't believe people like it so much because it's like my least favorite thing. But the second game, I was like, oh, I'm my own person. Like, I don't have to worry about other people. I can go through this line.
Yeah. And then you play as Joel again in a way that is Abby with Lev.
Yeah.
Lev's better though with a bow and arrow, doing some ranged attack. And video game AI was just better too.
She was, better.
It was less like Ellie running right in front of someone as you're sneaking, but Ellie can't set off the sneak because that's how gaming works. You know? It's like, okay, sure.
But yeah, it was, I was surprised how much I liked it, but I definitely feel like, because I felt like when I watched the first season of the show, I was like, slight differences. I don't remember the first game as well, but I felt like I got the same feeling through most of it.
Well,
except
and
for
now you know that it was pretty one-to-one almost, minus individual deaths or things that like change.
I think the only thing that felt different in the first one was I felt like the end scene with Joel going through the hospital felt like could have been twice as long, because I felt like in the game, like I was climbing out of hell to find her.
Yeah.
And in the show, it was like 10 minutes, maybe.
Well, we watched the last episode leading into episode 1 for this season because we just had time to kill. There was no WrestleMania on at that time.
No.
Not till this season.
Yeah.
But, which was a funny thing to go from WrestleMania into this episode. And then at the
Same level of importance.
At the end, Jim goes, "Is John Cena fighting?" not directly. There was air. We let it breathe. But with the episode, the final episode, it does feel rushed in that way. But it's funny how much they rush, like seeing the door and the hallway and the blinking and the pediatrics, and walks in, shoots the doctor in the face like almost immediately. And it was like there's more like, you actually in the first game you don't even have to shoot the doctor, you don't have to kill him, but
that was my other thing
you can
too.
also just shoot the nurses.
That was
you can just kill everybody.
That was my other thing too. Was Abby in the show goes, "You shot a defenseless doctor," and I'm like, didn't he run at me with a scalpel? I'm remembering the game more than the show, but I'm like, I thought he was running at, like he was attacking me.
He pulls out a scalpel and then gets shot in the head in the show. I don't remember.
I thought in the game he's like running. It's like that slow motion you can choose to or not. But I'm like, oh, there's no choice here. You're dead. I felt like I was threatened by the doctor.
Sure.
So when she goes, "You shot a defenseless man," I'm like, you're just rewriting history at this point.
Well, she also wasn't there, and she also, like, the whole defenseless thing is like is part of her whole fucking monologue, right? We don't. The WLF doesn't harm defenseless people. I'm like, when I was the WLF, I fucking killed everyone I saw. I killed every single person I saw. Like, I had no whatever. And and
then also the
logic of of killing defenseless people is like, well, what happens with Mel?
Right.
And why don't you then do that to Ellie and Dina? Like, I can't imagine that if that's your rule, which is never said in the game that I can recall.
No.
If that's your rule, it's going to have to be your rule later, and you're going to have to break your own rule. And that's like how in the cycle you are, and how much of the cycle you're breaking is you're breaking your compass in the wrong way for them.
And it was like, hey, what up, Lep? Are we talking about season 2? Is it out already? We are. The first 2 episodes have aired. So the first episode was last week. This Sunday was the second episode. That's why I put in the title that spoilers are happening. So if you don't want to be spoiled, get on out, or you can hang out.
Get on out.
But
I love that.
Or you can hang out. I just don't want you to be spoiled. I don't want to spoil it. I'm trying to give as much.
No, that's good.
Warning.
I mean, we've talked most spoilers. So.
Yeah, but
don't watch the VOD.
My other thing was when she was like, the nurses said you didn't even look at him, and I go like, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. There was just so much where I'm like, you're just like revising my memory of that moment, which I guess you need to for yourself to have this moment. But
no,
right?
You don't. You don't have to have talked to anyone. You see what you see in the things that live in her dreams.
Yeah.
Rent-free, which is her talking to herself in the hallway and stuff. I was like,
his brain's on the floor.
That's kind of strange.
You lie.
Yeah, and she's crying, whatever. And I was like, that is literally all she needed.
which is
She didn't need anything else.
which
That
was another moment too where I was like, oh, his brains are on the floor. Okay, so that's why the beating happens. You know what I mean?
sure.
And then it doesn't. I went, what the heck?
Oh,
did they show
you
that scene
played the
or
game.
not yet? I always wondered when it will be shown in season 2, episode 2. That scene has happened. That was our big conversation.
Yep.
It was less than, is what you said. I was trying to use
less than.
I didn't want to say
found it to be less than.
disappointing or the wrong. I wanted to say less than. That's what your words. I like that.
And maybe
the way
just
best.
different.
Different
to
and
be
less
high level,
than.
different. For me, less than.
Yes.
Go watch Sinners though, Lep. That's
Yeah.
another thing from early in the show. Sinners was fucking awesome.
But that was just another thing when I was just like, oh, when she says in the beginning, I was
Yeah,
like, brains on
brains.
the floor. Okay, cool. We're gonna. And then when it didn't happen, I went, wow. They felt like they set it up. They threw the ball up, and the person that was there to catch just went. And I went, why? You were so close.
It's the bag of peas, except they throw down a bag of corn.
Yeah.
And you're like, you threw a bag. Why not peas?
Why
You
not?
know?
You were right there. We were
It's
right
a
there.
separate reference.
Yeah. Worse than in the game.
Yeah, I would less than.
Less than
Less
in the
than.
game.
So take that how you will, but I mean worse in terms of like.
The surprise is gone, but it's not even gone for.
Just watch it, Lep.
Yeah, I would say the surprise is gone for any game player.
Period.
But the way the
Like,
show
oh,
sets it up,
They're going to make a Last of Us show?
Spoiled.
yeah. But
You know, I already know everything.
the way it's done in the show doesn't spoil it, but is a lot less surprising. I guess I would say.
Yep. The one thing I want to say though, at the very end of the episode, that is when I started crying, like credits, because they play the song, and I was like, it was just one of those things that I'm like, I watched that trailer 1,000 fucking times with this song, and also the one that they played is Ashley Johnson's recording of it.
Oh, okay.
I could just tell. I've heard it enough. You know
heard
what
it.
I mean?
Yep.
I've heard it enough that then I'm crying, and it's just myself. You know, no one's seeing me. No one's like, "Wait, what the fuck you crying about?" Like now, you know, now after what we just saw,
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But afterwards, I was like, "All right, I gotta show you guys a trailer."
Which trailer? It was at the.
The teaser trailer. Because
Okay.
funny, after the last episode, I was like, "I gotta show you guys a trailer," and I showed them the intro, or not the intro. I guess the beginning to it, the gameplay reveal trailer, which is, they should be afraid of you. And it's them kissing, and then the camera cuts back, and it pulls around, and she's fucking stabbing someone in the neck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, beautiful transition. And also, look at how 1-to-1 this scene is. I was like, you guys don't know, but it's like 1-to-1. So I showed them that. This one I showed them because I was like, this scene doesn't happen in the game, but the trailer, the music, the whatever. I was like, this is where the song came from. This is why it matters. And also, now that you know what the rest of the story is, watching this trailer with context is just different.
Yeah. We'll check it out. Well, White Lotus is done, so this is next on my list.
My wife and I just started season 1 of White Lotus yesterday.
So, is it only me, or do either of you enjoy watching the intro of episode 1, season 1? I come back to it regularly.
I have not watched it. I've not watched anything except the last episode of season 1 again, because the people I was with suggested we do that to lead into 2. And as we're watching it, I was like, hey, let's watch the recap for this episode because it's going to show us. And as everything was happening, they're all, Derek was like, oh yeah, I forgot, oh yeah. And I was like, this shit is so burned into my fucking mind. I'm like, you forgot about this character or this moment or this thing. And I was like, yeah, I guess, like, sure. But so I don't feel I have to, but if I had to recall the first episode back to you, it'd be tough for me to do just because it's different. Barely, you know, and thematically it's the same, but moment to moment it's different enough.
I think I'm really interested because obviously my interest level in this was I played the games and I enjoyed the second one, was middling on the
And
first
you like
one.
the first season.
And the first season of the show. So I'm like right in the middle of everything, but not like invested enough.
And there's the zeitgeist aspect of it and the week to week and this show.
But the thing that's supposed to be coming is an Alan Wake TV show on AMC. And I'm like, I'm wondering if I'm going to have that same thing where I'm like, if I watch it or talk about it, I'm like,
I got to show you this trailer.
you got to watch this or you got to see this.
Because I have something to show you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me after every episode so far.
Yeah. Or, oh, it's different because of this, this, and this. I wonder if that means for this. And like so many, and also like if the show is the first Alan Wake game, but now we know about the world and the control and the Federal Bureau and all that stuff. Oh, we're going to see more of that. Like this is why it's tied in that all this. I'm interested.
Yeah.
I think they announced that.
So that's the thing that we have with The Last of Us season 1 as well, because they show up to Jackson when they meet Tommy, which happens in the game. They don't really go in, but they show up in the game. And then they travel out, but when they show up here, they're sitting in the barn, and they're talking, and someone's like peeking at her, and like she like runs away, and I started crying immediately because I was like, fuck, that's Dina.
That's Dina.
And I just started crying, and Shay was like, why are you crying right now? And I was like, she just whispers it to me, and I was like, that's Dina. She saw the second.
okay.
She watched me play the beginning of the second game. So that's the kind of thing where it's like, if they just drop those little bits, that's like, hey, for those who know, here's the little something, you know.
For The Last of Us 2 game for both of you, great twist, hated it, meh.
I think The Last of Us 2 is a perfect game.
I like The Last of Us 2 except for the epilogue.
Well,
and
you
really
even
only
like the epilogue. You don't like the literal ending.
The literal ending.
And I guess if I say literal, I do mean the guitar in the window. But you probably like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that doesn't actually, that's not changed by an
I
Abby moment
feel
or
like
anything.
that
Right?
would have hit me harder if she had gone all the way through with it. Because it's like, guess what? You succeeded.
Well, again.
But you got nothing.
But you actually lost.
But
yes.
But now it's like, you lost and you lost.
Well, it's funny because for me, I say the same words. You succeeded in a way, like I think the ending of what she does with Abby is a success.
Oh.
Because where do I think her great failure is? When she leaves for, I think it's Santa Monica. I keep saying that.
Yeah,
I think that's where it is. When she leaves for Santa, I'm like, you fucked up. That's it. You took one step out the door, you're fucked. And yours is, I could have held her under a little longer.
Just a little bit longer. She was so close. Because then you stand up, you look at Lev, because I think he's conscious or whatever at that point.
Yeah, well, remember you almost killed.
But you look at him, and you have that one of those Kill Bill moments. Hey, if you're still angry about this, and blah blah blah, come find me. You know, like you have that moment.
And it's dope. And it's dope. I think I love it either way. I think for me, it's, I don't know, it's tough because she doesn't, that I'm like, I told you so forever ago. That's why I think you fucked up here. Like,
Okay.
That's why I'm like, because I think, let's say she does it. She goes back, we get the same ending, right? It's the same thing.
Same thing.
We'll say even fingers and everything. Like it's all the same
all
thing.
the same.
I look at it, both of them the same way of like, you stepping out that door fucked you. It doesn't matter if you didn't, which I think makes you like, it saved your humanity for me. So you're not like fully lost, or you do it. You come back, you've lost everything.
Yep.
You have the same outcome either way. The problem was stepping out the door. The problem wasn't whether she did or didn't, because you're going to get the same ending either way. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think stepping out the door is the mistake.
Which is fair. I just wish
you were never able to enjoy Abby. Yeah, it's fair to say. I know how many people were. I watched stream when that game came out that were like, when you're Abby fighting Ellie in the movie theater and you're literally playing as that. They're like, I can't do it. I won't do it. I'm not going to fight Ellie. I'm not going to whatever. And I'm like, really? Like after all this?
Oh yeah, I definitely was. I was like, how do I lose? How do I auto lose? I mean, I can't lose. That's the point of you making me play this. But I'm like, I want to lose.
I'm so interested in Abby though. Like not at first. I mean, at first you're like, well, fuck this bitch, right? That's the whole thing. But her dad and everything, there's that. But then it's her having her moment her story as Joel. Like she is Joel in that story. She runs through and kills 1,000 fucking scars just for Lev. And I'm like, how is that not the same thing as killing fireflies for Ellie? And she somewhere along those lines realizes it. And that's when she stops she ends the cycle. Because she sees it and lives it and has been on both sides of it now. Ellie has never been Joel. And for me, that's where I'm like, Abby becoming the person that she hated the most and realizing like the cycle she's creating was like so important. And also, it's a religious thing, so it's unrelated. Like it hit me like a truck when I was playing. But when Lev is talking, because Lev, even though it's not really a religion, being a scar is a religion. There's a fucking like deity god.
Yeah, whatever.
You earn your scars and all the whole thing, and it mirrors Christianity and being trans and whatever. All this stuff kind of, I imagine at least, mirrors all that. Mm-hmm. And then Abby, having once been a Firefly, now part of the WLF, also has in a way lost a religion because the Fireflies, different sects in a way, SECTS.
Yes.
Feel like Christianity, where I'd say there's some good churches, there's real bad churches, there's whatever. But there's a moment when when Lev is explaining the loss of community or whatever, and Abby hits Lev rather with the quote that is, it said something like, "We used to have a saying in the Fireflies, when lost in the darkness, look to the light." Dude, I was like, like she quoted her old religion. Like she's like, there's like so much empathy I have for her at that moment where I'm like, you're seeing it. You're seeing what the good out of the religion. You're seeing the good in what you have now with Lev. You're seeing the good out of what life has to give, and you're like trying to end it. I just have so much love for Abby.
I think for me, the Abby that I saw was when she realizes that Joel was in the right. I'm like, cool. So
Well,
you need to know that
or that she's equally in the wrong with Joel.
either way, if she is, she doesn't get her comeuppance that Joel got. If she really thought Joel was in the wrong, where's her wrong? Where does she? Why isn't she treated the same way? That's my problem.
I think the difference there is that Joel, until Jackson, because he didn't have an opportunity to stop.
Right.
His moment to stop would have been, say, the doctor or something, to tie it to Abby. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something, right? But there was no opportunity to stop. Abby, presented with the opportunity to stop it, does. Minus Jesse.
Yeah. The best character.
Shut up, dude.
Also,
Shut up. He's handsome, though. I'll give him that.
Right. Also,
he's a handsome guy.
Her fucking going back and forth with the Owen dude and
Come on.
I'm just like,
that's a
fuck,
human thing.
get outta
She doesn't
here.
deserve to die for
Gone.
that. Stop.
No, just drown.
He would be okay with an only Abby gameplay.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm being so aggressive. I just thought I was trying to support. Yeah.
Well, Abby's with Lev, and I imagine Lev has more of a story than Abby does. So I imagine he'd be playing as Lev. But of course not. I think Ellie, despite having an ending, I think there's still more that you could do with Ellie. But it's funny because I was just handed the second one with no request for a second one and no idea where it could go, and they handed me something brilliant. So I was like, "Fucking hand me a third one. I don't care." Unlike in Uncharted, if they did an Uncharted where I don't remember the character's name at the end, but if they gave us a game with that character, I'd be like, "Well, it's just kind of just different now. This is like almost unrelated. Like we could probably tie in certain things to make it feel more related and familial in a way." But I'm not looking for a spin-off of The Last of Us, but if you gave me like a different thing, like a Fear the Walking Dead, but if you gave me another season, if you gave me The Last of Us 3, I'd trust them wholeheartedly.
What if you
and I would play as Abby if the story made sense for it.
What if you play the third game, whatever happens in it, but the end of the third game is someone coming and killing Abby, like Abby killed Joel, and then Lev starts the circle all over again, and you're like, there's nothing that can stop it. But the game ends with Lev going out and being like, "No, I have to keep like." It's like circular, but the game ends with Lev making the choice to go, and you're like, it'll never stop.
In this fictional game, Abby dying is the end.
Is the end. It's like, hey, no matter what you can do, it's always going to come back around. There's no stopping.
I'd be curious to see, what did Lev learn the whole game.
I don't know.
Every character learns a lot in all of those games, at least the playable or the main ones. Some are truly just fodder. Like, what did Sam learn?
Yeah. Well, I was like, what did Ellie learn in the first game?
That's an interesting question, because it is mostly Joel's perspective.
It's mostly Joel, but you do play as Ellie. And in the end, I feel like the thing I can think of Ellie was like, oh, teenage girls sucked before the end of the world. Was like her big thing.
Yeah, this was what they complained about.
Yeah, this is it. But then also, she's in Jackson, and that's all the shit she's dealing with. You know what I mean? Boy this, girl this, relationships, not being accepted, being angsty. And I'm like,
it's interesting,
you're doing
because
the same thing.
It's interesting because I do think the second game has so many characters you're learning so much with and for. Like, it's almost like, what does Lev learn throughout the second game? And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's fair. Learns the cost of being yourself, maybe, if I had to get high level. But it's like, I think there's something where Ellie learns. It's tough because there's Left Behind, which teaches there's a whole different message that she's fucking invulnerable to this disease, like losing people. That's the first person she loses in a way. But I think Joel is the first and only person she grows close with that isn't Riley, someone that's because that was romantic for her. So a non-romantic relationship. But also, as soon as Joel is knocked out, she's like learning to properly care for somebody else. But also, then she learns of like the actual brutality of the world. Is kind of, I'd say, where she learns it. She sees a lot of it throughout especially the game, because you're killing so many people. But there's her being attacked and almost cannibalized and almost maybe something else, you know. And that's, I think, her like big change is she just seems to change there. And then everything related to her self-sacrifice, which dawns and flavors on her more a little bit more in the second game, because there's time to think on it, and we're flashed back to like in between the games.
We also didn't know, she didn't know it was a sacrifice, right?
Right.
So.
Right. Well, nobody knew.
Yeah.
well, maybe the doctor. The doctor had a good idea. The Fireflies knew.
Fireflies had a pretty good idea.
Definitely
Fireflies, always bad guys.
Oh, well.
Always the bad guys. Still the bad guys. Even when they're not Fireflies and they're wolves now, still bad guys.
What about Tommy?
Oh, Tommy learned that he was fighting for the wrong side and he left. He's like, oh, shoot, they're bad. Left. Earl also left. Started growing weed. God's work.
Not
Earl.
Eugene.
Eugene.
I was like, Earl? Who the fuck is Earl?
Okay, whatever. You know what I mean. They all learned.
Sure.
And they moved on. They're like, ooh, we don't want to be a part of this.
I'm sad to hear you were never able to enjoy Abby Lepp. Didn't Abby want to kill Ellie in that scene? Not that cool. Want to kill Ellie in that scene. In the scene that happens in episode 2.
In the show, no.
No, neither.
But in the game, you don't
No, she didn't. There's no attempt to kill Ellie in any capacity.
Well, there was from the guy that gets a scar.
Well, he's like, let me. Yeah, but he gets held back. You know?
He gets held back.
Yeah, but
not by Abby.
Okay.
I don't remember the game scene that well. Besides the big thing.
No, I don't remember Abby wanting to kill Ellie.
Okay.
I mean, it's tough because I haven't played since.
Because in my head,
since it came out, so it's been 5 years.
In my head, I picture her killing Joel, and then walking over to Abby, and him being Ellie, and Owen being like, no, we're done. This is it. We did the thing. Let's leave. Like that's in my head.
She goes, okay,
but
that doesn't sound like trying to kill somebody. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But also, if so, that's when I mean, even if she did, it was bad, good. I don't know, for her not to, like she should have, right? In a way, it would have stopped the cycle in a different way, I guess, unless it's Dina's story is chasing out.
Oh shit, or Tommy,
yeah, whatever. But I think it doesn't really matter because that's a different Abby than the Abby we get post Lev. Again, I think like her change comes from being Joel.
Interesting.
Taking a walk in his shoes, a little mile in those trotters.
Mm-hmm.
The boots.
Okay.
Abby, known boot knocker, with Owen.
Yep.
Knocking the boots, dude.
While he has got a pregnant girlfriend. That's what Owen learns. Don't cheat on your pregnant girlfriend.
Yeah.
He learns that lesson loud and clear.
Oh, brother.
All right, cool. We've already been going long, so we're going to be wrapping up. Thanks for hanging out, Lep. Anyone else that was
remember
here?
when I was like, I don't know if we'll be able to fill the time?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Are we not going to be able to talk an hour about Last of Us 2? Whatever. It's like saying, are you going to be able to talk an hour about Gundam or Destiny? Yeah, come on. What are we talking about?
That's why I'm like, dude, this fucking the nerd night that never happened. I'm like, they don't know what they're missing out on.
They don't know.
I could be giving speeches all day.
100%.
All day. And this one these are all impromptu.
Yeah.
These are all without any prep, dude. You give me a slideshow?
Woo.
Come on.
But anyway, we're going to wrap up there. Just a reminder, we're going to have stream on Friday and Sunday, but nothing on Saturday because of Bethany's birthday and stuff. But I'm really excited to play Expedition 33, so if you can, make it Friday. Do you have anything else, Stokes?
I've got nothing else.
Then we're going to wrap up as we always do and say sweet dreams, and we'll see you for breakfast.